Tonight on the all-night drive-in picture show.
What the hell do you mean you've lost the body?
It just kind of fell out of the back of the car.
Oh. Well, find it! Find it!
Then,
Marcia, crawl back in your hole and die.
We came, we partied, we conquered. The mountain is ours. Let's dance.
and now, here are your projectionists. Don't look at their hands, Ryan Mason and Charles Wood.
Welcome to the all-night drive-in picture show. I'm Ryan. That's Charles.
Hi.
Let's go.
Attention patrons. The movies discussed on this podcast will be spoiled from start to finish. If you wish to experience these cinematic gems visually, please do so before continuing with this episode. We will be right here when you return. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.
And now, please enjoy our featured presentation.
Toxic waste, a rattled vet, an air rifle, and a stupid little man. This is Men at Work.
In the 2 years you have worked here, you have broken just about every city ordinance that pertains to this line of work.
Well, you can't say we haven't been a lot of laughs.
Got a complaint about banging trash cans on P Street at 6 a.m. this morning. You boys know anything about this?
No, sir.
Pump it up a little more, get the party.
This is the last year we throw trash. You said that last year. Yeah, but this year I mean it. You meant it last year.
Just think of the garbage business as a way station on the road to Nirvana.
What was that for?
You didn't like it.
No, I liked it a lot.
Then shut up. Jam, pump it up, while your feet are so.
What is the maximum sentence for murder? I did not murder anyone.
Pump it up a little more, get the party.
You and your stupid pellet gun.
What are you doing?
I'm crashing. Golf clap.
Who are those guys?
Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez are Men at Work.
We open on an underwater waste dump as the credits appear. Fish swim among cracked yellow waste barrels. As the credits continue, more barrels plunge into the depths. Then we're above water and we see a group of people in hazmat suits rolling barrels into the water off the back of a small boat called the Coronado. On a nearby beach, we see Maxwell Potterdam III, played by John Getz, who's a very good 80s heavy, isn't he?
Yeah. And his Gordon Gecko hairstyle.
Right. Maxwell Potterdam III watching the boat through a night vision scope. City Councilman Jack Berger, played by Daryl Larson, stands next to Maxwell. Berger says he can't support the dumping any longer. Seems old Max lied to him about the barrels not cracking for 150 years, and Berger's on the verge of exposing the whole operation, even if he himself goes down with it. Then Berger gets in his car and leaves. Maxwell walks over to a couple of assassins, a dark-haired guy and a blonde guy with a ponytail, and tells them that there is a time and place for everything. As Berger drives, he rewinds a cassette recorder and plays back his conversation with Maxwell. Seems Burgermeister Meisterberger has got some evidence, y'all. On another part of the beach, James St. James, great name, played by Emilio Estevez, wakes up in a sleeping bag next to a beautiful young lady. A radio DJ from an unseen radio tells us it's 5 a.m., and James says that he has to go to work. His companion asks him to leave a surfboard for her to use. He seems heartbroken at the request, but she says that he promised last night. As the morning DJ and his callers drone on, we go to an apartment building where Carl Taylor, played by old Tiger Blood himself, Charlie Sheen, sits at an open window in his robe, aiming a rifle at the street below. Through his scope, he sees one of Berger's campaign posters and shoots a pellet right into the politician's pick. Then his phone rings. It's his boss, Walt Richardson, played by Cy Richardson. Walt asks if he's actually coming to work today, and Carl says he's flying out the door right now and hangs up, and then sits right back down at the window. He picks up a pair of binoculars and spies on the stewardess in the building across the street as she gets dressed for work because he's a lecherous creep. She actually sees him watching and pulls her drapes closed. Elsewhere in the building, Carl sees a man waltzing with a blow-up doll. Carl muses to himself how that is a perfect relationship, which could likely have been ad-lib because Charlie Sheen is a misogynist dick. Carl moves the binoculars along the other windows where he sees a man who is watching him back with binoculars of his own. Then Carl moves to a window where a woman opens her drapes and starts her day. He narrates as she prepares a coffee and mango breakfast, noticing that she's a high-class lady because of the absence of off-brand liquor in her cabinet, and that she's single because she's making coffee for one. He wishes he knew her name. Then we see a fleet of garbage trucks starting up. James is behind a rig wheel, and Carl gets into the passenger side. James hands Carl a Jolt Cola.
Have you ever had a Jolt Cola?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had one time on the bus heading to school in 7th grade, like right after they came out. Yeah. And that was one of the worst days of my life.
If you're not familiar with Jolt Cola, it's like the original energy drink.
Yeah.
Just a can of caffeine and sugar is all it really is. So.
Back in the day, I think it had 280 grams of caffeine, which now I think Jolt's back. Like it came back as its original kind of thing in 2017, and I think now it has 180 grams of caffeine. But when it came back in 2017, it was only sold in single cans at Dollar General and Casey's Country Store, you know, those gas stations. Yeah. And then you could buy 4-packs on Amazon, so.
In the truck behind them are a macho asshole named Luzinski, played by Cameron Dye, and a lanky white pseudo-Rastafarian named Frost, played by Jeffrey Blake. Luzinski is raring to go, while Frost is simply his stoned follower. Luzinski honks the horn and yells out the window for Carl and James to get going. So Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez here, along with Luzinski, they really exhibit some great mullets in this movie.
Yeah.
Charlie Sheen and Estevez pretty much have the same hair,
right?
Only different color, but you know it's kind of a baby mullet, just barely off the collar. Sheen's is long enough to where he could put it back in a ponytail, which he does when he's on the job.
Right.
But this Luzinski, his mullet was a bouffant mullet, which is rare.
Yeah.
You know, bouffant on top, ponytail in the back. And he also had a Van Dyke goatee.
Yeah.
And he just looks like a total scumbag.
Well, now, know that if you see the scene where they get shot with the shit later on, the first time, he's got long hair.
Oh, okay.
But he makes it into this weird bouffant-looking mullet style.
Yeah.
So he does it on purpose. That's mystifying to me, is that he,
right,
like, it's not just kind of like, oh, this is the cards the good Lord dealt me, you know? It's like, no, I chose it, you know? Like, I bought the product. And how many guys like Frost were roaming around in the 90s? The pseudo-Rastafarian, white guy, dreadlocks, stoned out, using, of course, bastardized Spanish in this movie because that's what surfers and white knockoff Rastafarians used, you know, in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean,
I recall seeing people like him at concerts once in a while, but
yeah,
I don't know if that was more of a thing in California than it was here.
Hey, but, man, I went to Reggae Sunsplash here, so.
You did?
I saw that.
As Carl tells James about how his girlfriend Gina moved out last night, James slowly backs the truck up until he hits Frost and Luzinski's truck, breaking out one of their headlights. James and Carl toast to this achievement as Luzinski yells that paybacks are a bitch. Carl asks James where his gloves are, and the driver says that they're in the glove compartmente.
There it is.
Yeah, what you just said.
Yeah.
Carl opens the glove box, and the truck airbags deploy, filling the cab. James yells, and Luzinski and Frost do a tickle finger 5. The prank war is on, son. Later it's daylight, and James and Carl roll up outside of Berger's campaign headquarters to remove le garbage. Carl throws a trash can lid into the path of a bike rider on the sidewalk.
Hey, mister! Shut up, you dickhead.
Hey, mister, shut up, dickhead.
Shut up, dickhead. That's my favorite Charlie Sheen line.
One of my favorites is coming up here in a little bit, where when they're sitting around talking about the potential surf shop business.
Yeah.
He goes, come on, hold on, wait a second. He just is so phony. It's a shame he's such an asshole and such a dirtball, because he's really funny in comedies.
Yeah.
Like, he's got really great comic timing and really great delivery, and he's funny.
Yeah.
But it's just a shame he's such an asshole.
Did you just call him a dirtball?
Yeah.
What are you, like a 65-year-old woman in a Hallmark movie?
Would you prefer dirt bag?
No.
No? Okay. All right.
Let's just move on. Just forget it.
I don't know. I'm 45. Things aren't making sense anymore. Inside the headquarters, campaign manager Susan Wilkins, played by Leslie Hope, is on the phone with the vendor. Susan was the woman Carl spied making coffee for one earlier. Las Playas turns out to be a small world. As she argues with the vendor about flyers, she opens a manila envelope with a letter and a cassette tape inside. Elsewhere in the building, Berger dramatically splits open his blinds to peek outside. The two assassin goons from the beginning of the movie are parked in an alley across the street next to a Trader Joe's. As far as Daryl Larson goes, he really reminds me of that actor Bill Irwin in this movie.
Kind of like a less mysterious, less funny Bill Irwin.
Right. But later on, I think some of his acting is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like comic acting is concerned, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, he's not bad. I mean, he definitely fits the type of this milquetoast corrupt councilman to a T.
Yeah.
The thing about this movie is that everything's broad.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
You look at this movie, you say, okay, what do these characters want and what do they need? There's none of that really in this movie. It's just kind of about, here's a bunch of stuff that happens over the course of a couple of nights, and that's it.
Right.
Except for Lewis. When he gets here, things get a little wonky, but yeah.
Yeah. But some of the great lines appear too, so.
Right.
Berger paces his office with the cassette tape in his hand. He starts looking for a place to hide the tape when Susan interrupts him. Her tape is of a band that they might want to use for a fundraiser, and she wants him to hear it to get his approval. Berger ain't got time for that shit. If Susan likes him, then they should use him. He trusts her. She also needs him to sign some documents. Susan senses something is wrong, but Berger doesn't come clean. Instead, he just tells her that she's doing a hell of a job. Then she scoops up the documents and the tape and heads back out. Meanwhile, Carl and James pluck trash and talk about Carl's ex-girlfriend, Gina. Turns out she didn't like being with a garbage man. James says that this is the last year they sling trash. They're going to get their dream surf shop off the ground. Carl says that's what James said last year. James finds a small purse in a trash can. He opens it to find a bra inside. Carl finds a scratched-out porno pic and pockets it. Why?
Art imitating life.
All right. And this pic, too, it's basically the lady's face and her stomach, and everything else is completely scratched out.
I know.
So, I mean, there's not much to jerk to there unless you're really into navels.
Well, it's weird, though, because James actually pockets something later on.
Yeah, like a Dear John letter, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, why? I don't understand. But...
Yeah. Then the bicycle fuzz skids up, these guys. The bike cops are Mike, played by Jeff Putsch, and a new recruit named Jeff, played by Tommy Hinckley.
Well, if it isn't the South Bay's finest. What happened, Mike? They take away your rooms?
You see, this is the kind of scum you're gonna have to get used to around here. Jeff's new to the force, so I'm giving him the tour. He's also my new partner, so you're gonna be seeing a whole lot more of him.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you're gonna like it here, Jeff. The air's clean, the women are beautiful, and the shifts are short. You know, most of the folks here in Las Playas are hard-working, with a future in mind. With the exception of these two clowns, they're part of the Don't Let This Happen to You crowd. A word of warning, my garbage-toting friends, from your friendly neighborhood peace officer. I've got my eye on you both. If you're not breaking the law now, the smart money says that it's only a matter of time before you will. And you can bet that last dollar that my ass is gonna be there to make the bust. Golf clap?
Golf clap.
I love when somebody calls somebody else a clown as an insult. That always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Also, was this the first use of golf clap in the movies?
I think it is, because I remember it being very funny at the time.
Yeah, and people still do that. I was wondering about that because I was trying to think if it was in something like Caddyshack, or really that's the only other golf movie from the 80s I could even think of.
I believe this was the first usage of it, and then it became a hacky joke after that.
Yeah, huh.
It is pretty funny how they do it, though, because they're wearing their trash gloves, and it kind of muffles it, so it sounds like it actually sounds like a bunch of people clapping at once. It's kind of funny. These cops seemingly have something against Estevez and Sheen in this movie, and it's never really explained why. I guess they just don't like them because they're garbage men.
Yeah, well, yeah, it seems like a lot of people don't like them because they're garbage men. You know, I actually heard or read somewhere that the Japanese Trash Collectors Union wanted this movie taken off the video store shelves because it cast garbage men in a poor light. So I don't know if it actually happened or not, but I heard that. And it does seem like people do have a bad attitude towards garbage men, which I don't really understand. You know, I mean,
I don't either. I mean, it's got to be done, you know, and
yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's a gross job, but so is working in a butcher shop.
Yeah. I do love it when Mike says something about Carl and James being the "don't let this happen to you" set. He's just like your typical snivelly minor villain in this movie. Mike is Jeff Putch. He's just kind of like, you know, that guy that probably could have fit into a high school movie either as a really old-looking senior or a teacher, or like an assistant principal, not a principal.
The assistant principal who desperately wants to be the principal.
Right, but it's never going to get there.
Scheming behind his back.
Yeah, even if every other principal they ever hire for the school dies, he'll never become principal. Like, never.
Right. Then we get a slow motion garbage collection montage. And how many times do you get to say that?
Never.
You know? Never. Carl and James hurl garbage cans, high-five with can lids, throw fruit at each other, and various other hijinks. In an alley, James finds a Dear John letter in one of the cans and pockets it. Why? And it's very plain, too. It's like, "Dear John, sorry this didn't work out.
You're a lovely man."
Yeah. You're a great guy. See you later. Yeah. You know, and that's all it is. It's like there's nothing more to it.
Yeah.
And he pockets it. Okay.
So weird.
Then, as Carl grouses about women, James walks over and knocks on the back gate. A woman in a shorty robe answers and hands James a small bag of trash. He hugs her and says, "Morning, baby." And isn't that exactly what a scantily clad woman wants, is to hug a man wearing trash-covered coveralls, you know?
Yeah.
Trash juice.
Oh,
yeah.
The trash juice. It's one of those things where it's kind of like if you hear two singers who are meant to harmonize together, then they almost create this third voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the trash juice, all this stuff goes together, and it creates this new smell. Yeah. And that new smell is fucking awful. It's like...
Well, there's a reason why people say, "Why does it smell like rotten garbage in here?"
Yeah. When people talk about hot garbage, they're thinking of trash juice.
They are.
That should be a drink. We should make an energy drink called trash juice.
Yeah, because we're great businessmen.
Yeah. Head over to our snack bar and pick up a can of trash juice. A bargain at $7.99 a can.
Right next to the dumpster cakes. Carl jumps James's case for not having a heart or being serious about women. At lunch, the can jockeys talk about their plans.
What an absolutely gorgeous day. Warm sun, beautiful women. And the air is just right for drinking.
Could you just look at all the activity that's going on down here, Carl? It's close, man. I can see it. Right here, right on the Strand. Carl and James surf shop.
It's gold. It's gold, James. It's a gold mine. Just think of the garbage business as a way station on the road to Nirvana.
Well, maybe now that you're a single man again, you'll be able to put a little more time and energy into it.
Whoa, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute, just a second. I have put a lot of energy into getting our surf shop together. And we'd be a lot further along if I didn't have to do the work, too.
Pardon me? Let's not forget that it was me who chose the bank that we went to get our loan.
Let's not forget that we didn't even get the loan. I mean, it's not like you researched it, James. You picked the name out of the yellow pages.
What exactly are you...
Both men watch a bikini-clad woman walk by.
Good God. What exactly are you trying to say here, Carl?
What I'm trying to say, James, is that sometimes you are completely hopeless.
Really?
Yes.
Then he goes, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's like, good God.
Wait a minute. Hold on just a second. The two men walk over a sandy ridge toward the water, still in their work coveralls with surfboards under their arms. James questions Carl about what he meant by hopeless. Carl says he's majorly hopeless, and James vows to try to change, but Carl doubts him. The boys strip off their coveralls to reveal wetsuits.
There are conversations in this movie that I'm just kind of like, boys, we're burning daylight here.
Right.
And this is one of them. When he says, what did you mean by hopeless? And then Carl says, well, just what it says. Hopeless, less than hopeful. And it's kind of an 80s, like mid-late 80s, early 90s trope, kind of the smart ass, you know?
Right.
But, man, seeing it this time out, it felt tired. I just kind of want to move on, you know?
Yeah.
I want something in there that wasn't there, you know?
It seems funny in this movie that really Estevez's character seems like the more adjusted of the two, but Charlie Sheen's character is, tells him that he's hopeless or that he's worthless.
Yeah.
And in real life, too, it's like Estevez is the well-adjusted one. He's carved out a pretty good career for himself.
Right.
He's not as much in the limelight, but he's directing movies and doing what he wants to do. Sheen's made billions of dollars, but he's also a complete fuck-up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So him telling anyone, whether he's in character or out of character, that they're hopeless is hysterical to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and the thing about it, too, is that I didn't really realize this until watching this time out. This was Emilio Estevez's second writing-directing movie. He did one a few years earlier with Demi Moore called Wisdom, which was kind of like probably a nicer version of Badlands, which was, the Terrence Malick movie from the 70s with Martin Sheen and Sissy Spacek, where it's like a couple on the run and they're kind of like Robin Hoods. They're trying to save farmers or something like that.
Yeah.
But it didn't really click with me that he had written and directed Wisdom until I was watching this and I looked up his credits. So, because I wondered if this was his first directorial effort.
Yeah, I kind of did too.
And it's pretty good, I mean, it's one of those movies that when you watch it and you get done, you may or may not feel like you've seen a movie, but you will probably quote lines from it.
Right.
Especially once Keith David gets here, because then everything kind of changes, so.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Berger pulls up in front of the police station and frantically walks inside. The assassins also roll up across the street. Inside, Berger tells Captain Leo Dalton, played by Troy Evans, that he knows who's dumping the toxic waste off Las Playas and that he, Berger, is involved. He hands Dalton the tape and the captain puts it in his radio. It's the band that Susan was asking about for a fundraiser. She took the wrong tape.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, Berger goes nuts and grabs the tape and runs out. This is where his acting just like, he goes totally Nick Cage here.
I know.
And when he gets to the next scene we see him into, he's just completely spastic.
He's lost his shit.
Right. At the dump, Carl and James dump their load, and then they do... At the dump, Carl and James dump their load, and then they do the nasty. As James puts it, which means sweeping out the remaining garbage sludge from the back of the truck. Here's your trash juice.
Trash juice. Available at the snack bar.
Back at the police station, Captain Dalton is on the phone with Maxwell, the toxic dumper, tattling on Berger.
Okay, so Dalton is a corrupt cop. I'm so shocked.
Surprise, surprise.
Cops are always bright, shining beacons of justice. I disagree with this portrayal of cops. Now, this does not come up again.
No.
But I would have put a pin in this because I want to talk about it at the end.
Okay. Once he's off the phone, Maxwell talks to himself and marvels at Berger's shrewd move in taping their conversation.
He's so terrible. He's just like a typical villain in this.
Yeah.
He does everything that like a villain in a Lethal Weapon spoof would do.
Or an 80s movie starring Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, right.
I'm watching him, and I was thinking to myself, which Hogan movie was he in? Because it had to be one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere along the line, he was going to, I don't know, take a wildlife preserve and turn it into a baseball diamond or something.
Right.
And Hulk Hogan had to save it.
Frost and Luzinski strut through the garbage man locker room with towels around their waists and wrapped around their heads. They pass Carl and James, who watch them go expectantly. A prank might be afoot. Luzinski opens his locker and an airbag deploys. He laughs at Carl and James' lack of originality, but then the bag bursts open, spraying shit all over Luzinski and Frost.
So gross. Where did they get the shit?
I don't know. Carl and James clock out as Luzinski screams in the background, "It's shit! It's shit!" As they try to quietly leave, their boss Walt calls him into the office.
What's up, Walt? Nothing too serious today. Got a complaint about banging trash cans on P Street at 6 a.m. this morning. You boys know anything about this?
No, sir.
Which one of you rolled the bowling ball down the alley into Avenue H?
Can't help you there either, Walt.
In the 2 years you have worked here, you have broken just about every city ordinance that pertains to this line of work.
Well, you can't say we haven't been a lot of laughs.
I'm glad you have a sense of humor, Mr. St. James. Unfortunately, the majority of the people in this community do not. Now, me, personally, I like you boys. Which is why I'm giving you another chance. Starting tomorrow, you boys will be riding with a third party.
What?
I have decided to send an observer along with you on your route. A representative of Shoreline.
Who's the observer?
My brother-in-law. Consider yourself on probation. I suggest you be on your best behavior.
Back at Carl's apartment, James and Carl play Trivial Pursuit.
What does a phrenologist feel and interpret? The size of Walt's asshole.
Wrong.
No, a phrenologist feels and interprets the bumps on your head, skull features.
Very good.
Who was Richard Nixon's chief of staff during the final days of Watergate? Oprah Winfrey. No, that was Alexander Haig. That's right.
A phrenologist feels and interprets the size of Walt's asshole.
Oh, I remember popping big time in the theater when they said that.
I know, me too. You and I saw this at the Bargain Theater, didn't we?
A couple of times.
Yeah.
The one time the film broke and it was the 12:40 showing, as in 20 till 1 in the morning, because that theater would start movies at midnight. I think the latest they ever started a movie was like 1:20 a.m. They would start a movie. And this one broke, and it took them like about 45 minutes or an hour to splice it back together.
Yeah.
And the theater was about about a third full. Everybody just kind of sat there, you know.
Yeah.
And
we were kind of invested at that point, too, because it was about halfway through the movie.
Oh, it was more than that. It was by the time they get to the chemical plant at the end. Like, it was really closing in. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'd already seen the movie at that point.
Yeah.
Because I think we saw it over at our Lowe's Theater before. But those were the days when we saw so many movies that we had to start over. Like on the roster, we had to say, well, it's only $1 or 50 cents or whatever. So,
right,
you know.
right. I went to see that movie Bandits with Billy Bob Thornton and Bruce Willis once, and that's a really funny movie if you've ever seen it. It's a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
And they got all the way down to the third act, and the film burnt. And they came out and said, we don't have another print, so we're going to give you free passes to a future movie. And I was like, no, because I was really enjoying the movie, and I wanted to see how it played out.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to go back and watch it another day. But, man, I was so bummed out. I was like, oh, how does it end?
That's brutal. Did you at least get beavers and ducks before it burned?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep, all the good stuff. Once upon a time, there was light in my life. Now there's only love in the dark. Gotta love how she says that. Through an open window, they hear a commotion coming from Susan's apartment across the street. Berger's tearing around in there trying to find his tape. She follows him around trying to figure out what's going on. Thinking it's a domestic dispute, Carl decides to take a shot at Berger with his pellet gun. He sets up at the window. Once Susan leaves the apartment, Carl pops a shot that hits Berger in the ass. Carl and James duck down and laugh and slap butt-shot fives. Good Lord. Meanwhile, across the street, unbeknownst to our heroic duo, the assassin goons enter Susan's apartment and kill Berger. The short-haired goon strangles the shit out of Berger, while the ponytail goon looks for the tape. He finds a tape, but is it the tape?
Ooh.
The two assassins carry Berger out to a waiting yellow barrel in the trunk of their car and stuff him in, all while having a conversation about gems.
Yeah. I love that they're just like carrying this body out to the trunk. Not disguised. And the barrel is a huge waste drum, so it's hanging out of the back of their car.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just like shoving this guy in there between two apartment buildings. It's like right out by the curb, you know?
This must be commonplace in Las Playas.
I guess.
Just people walking down the street carrying dead bodies or stuffing them in oil drums or what have you.
I'll tell you what, though, with the way these people cross paths, it seems like Las Playas consists of about 3 streets or something. I mean, you know?
Yeah. Very small community.
Very small.
Upstairs, Susan returns to her apartment to find the front door still wide open and Berger gone. The assassin goons drive down an alley, fighting over control of the car radio. They hit a big dip and the barrel bounces out of the trunk and rolls over next to some full trash cans at the curb.
Now, if you look really closely in the scene where their car bumps, they have the front license plate, the back license plate. Did you see what it said?
No, I didn't.
It is a personalized license plate that says Hitman.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. You can barely see it. Like, I paused it, though, because I thought, that license plate looks really weird. And it says Hitman. So, hide in plain sight, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Next morning, James wakes up on Carl's living room floor to a ringing Mickey Mouse alarm clock. The boys are hung over. As he makes a Jägermeister aspirin ice cream milkshake in the blender. And there's coffee in that, too, actually.
I think there is coffee in
cold
there.
Coffee from the day before. Carl begs James not to antagonize their workplace observer today. For all they know, he might be some crazed combat veteran.
How does he pull that? It's like right on the nose. What the hell?
Yeah. Cut to the garbage truck cab later on. Louis Fetters, played by Keith David, rides on the passenger's side, while James drives and Carl is stuck in the middle.
You're driving too fast.
So, Louis, you're Walt's brother-in-law. That's great. He speaks highly of you.
What do you know about anything?
Walt's a nice guy. His sister must be nice, too. I've never met her, though.
When I feel like talking to you, I will look at you.
Gotcha. You writing stuff about us? Sorry. This sucks.
What did you say, son?
Name is James.
Well, James, if you expect to keep this job, I suggest you tell me what it was you were mumbling over there.
James.
I said this sucks. And basically, so do you.
Well, you little...
Lewis goes after James and the truck swerves into oncoming traffic.
It's a night of reunions tonight because this is a reunion. Charlie Sheen, Keith David, they were soldiers in platoon together.
They were. That's right. In a fast food restroom, Carl inspects his injured nose while James pisses. They talk about how crazy Lewis is, and James apologizes for mouthing off to him. Meanwhile, at a table, Lewis is eating fries and drawing a crowded pier with a helicopter swooping in and shooting missiles at it. Carl and James join him, and James almost immediately starts to call Lewis a pain in the ass before Carl covers his partner's mouth. Carl calls a sort of truce between the two men, but when James absently grabs a fry from Lewis's plate, the vet snatches his hand and tells James that there are several sacred things in this world that you do not mess with, and one of them happens to be another man's fries. He squeezes James' hand until it cracks. Carl and James trade petrified looks as Carl mouths, "What the fuck?" Later, the three men stop to collect some garbage, and Carl finds the yellow barrel with Berger's body.
James. What? I think you better get over here. Take a look at this. What is it, Carl? Just take a look.
James removes the barrel lid.
What the hell is this, Carl?
It's a dead human being, James.
Yeah? What's he doing on our route?
Lewis exits the cab and joins them.
Oh, look at here. Looks like somebody threw away a perfectly good white boy.
Lewis tips Berger's head back and then looks at a nearby campaign flyer.
And he sure looks a hell of a lot like that dude.
We're screwed. What do you mean, we? You pulled the trigger, pal.
Look, Lewis, we gotta talk.
See, Lewis, Carl sort of knows this guy.
So? I don't know him at all.
Well, what I'm trying to say is he shot him.
With a pellet gun.
But he thought he hit him in the butt.
I did hit him in the butt.
You two seem to be in some serious shit here.
I need a drink.
Look, Lewis, I know that I did not kill this man. You see, last night this guy here was beating on his old lady. So I took it upon myself to end the dispute.
So you shot him?
With a pellet gun.
So you said. Now you shot him from where?
From my apartment.
So how in the hell did he end up here?
Well, why don't you ask him?
Have some. It'll settle your nerves.
My nerves don't need settling.
What is the maximum sentence for murder?
I did not murder anyone. Jesus Christ, James, whose side are you on?
I am not taking sides.
Yes,
Carl.
you are. You've already convicted me. As far as you're concerned, I'm on my way to death row.
Now, Carl, come on.
Well, let me tell you something, pal. You are in it as much as I am. You were there. That makes you an accomplice.
Look, you little bastard. I never wanted you to do it in the first place. I was totally against it.
Try explaining that to the judge.
I am not going to have to explain anything to any judge. This is your ball game, Carl.
You are an asshole.
And you are a trigger-happy idiot.
Well, I am not going to rot in prison alone.
Well, you're not going to mess up my life, you son of a bitch.
James tackles Carl.
Oh, you and your stupid pellet gun. Get off of me. You're a stupid man. You're a stupid little man. I said enough. I said cut it off.
Okay, so here is Keith David's line about the perfectly good white boy, right?
Yes.
Now, that's a stolen line, though, man, because I think that's stolen from Better Off Dead.
Oh, you're right.
When Lloyd tries to jump off that bridge, but he lands in the trash.
Yeah.
The trash truck's driving off, and somebody says, hey, that's a waste of a perfectly good white boy.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
When I heard it this time, I was just like, oh, man, you know.
It's a shame, too, because his delivery is so great.
Oh, Keith David's probably the best part of this movie, I think.
Oh, yeah.
He's just brilliant.
Yeah. Lewis breaks them up. He tells them that unless they strangled Burger, they're in the clear. Carl grabs a rumpled cowboy hat and puts it on Burger to camouflage it. Just as Lewis says he hates cops, the bike fuzz show up. Mike and Jeff approach our heroes in their corpse and ask who Lewis and Burger are. They tell him the truth about Lewis, but then they tell him Burger is James' cousin from Texas, who is still a little wasted from the night before. The cops believe them and they pedal off. This is the part where I think Larson does a really good job of comedic acting.
Yeah.
Because he plays a corpse really, really well.
Yeah. Well, especially when Keith David's moving him around, because at one point Keith David moves one of his arms as if he's like putting his hand on the side of his face. Because we haven't described this, but like he was strangled, so his mouth is stuck wide open, his eyes are wide open.
Right.
And he's already getting stiff. And so Keith David does this move where he puts his arm around him and moves his hand from his elbow. And the way that Larson just kind of lets it happen is really great. I mean, it's just really, really great.
Yeah.
I love also, too, how the bike cops, when they pedal off, I think both times that they've pedaled off in this movie, off screen you hear, ding, ding, you hear like the bike bell. That's hysterical.
And this part, too, when they pulled up and got off their bikes, didn't both their bikes fall over as soon as they got off of them?
Yeah.
James does not feel right about what they're doing, but Carl tells him Mike and Jeff are just itching to put them away. And how are they going to explain that this dead councilman just happens to be the same guy that Carl shot in the butt? So they have to stash the body and get back to work. In Maxwell Potterdam III's office, the two assassin goons break the news that they lost Burger's corpse. Maxwell throws a fit and tells them to find it. Their lives depend on it. The short-haired goon then hands Maxwell the tape that they got from Burger. This brightens his mood and he excuses him. He puts the tape into the cassette deck and hears the campaign event band instead of the criminal conversation, and his eyes widen in horror. In the locker room, Carl and James are theorizing about Burger's death. Carl thinks that Burger's girl, Susan, did it, but James thinks that's dumb. Lewis joins them and says that the corpse is getting a little gamey. It's getting a little gamey.
I like how he says that. Gamey.
Yeah. James wants to go to the police, but Lewis sides with Carl. Susan is a good place to start. Carl and Lewis leave, but James trails behind a little bit. As he finally exits the locker room, we see Luzinski and Frost hiding behind open locker doors, once again in towels. Luzinski said he thought Frost knew how to rig that thing, and Frost says that he followed the instructions. They sneak over to James's locker and cautiously open it. Nothing happens. They look into the locker and get closer, and shit blasts out of it, covering them both.
It's even worse this time, too, man.
Yeah.
Like, this time it's just everywhere. In James' locker door, did you see the Circle Jerks sticker?
Yeah.
And that's a reunion. Circle Jerks were also in Repo Man.
Yes, they were.
Oh, man. I love Repo Man.
Me too. It's a great movie.
Whew.
The guys have propped Burger up in a chair at Carl's apartment. Lewis is hungry, so Carl orders a pizza. They put a full head Nixon mask on Burger and move him away from the window. So right here, I'd like to point out that when they were playing Trivial Pursuit earlier, there was a question about Nixon's cabinet.
Yeah.
Now they're putting a Nixon mask on him, and there's also a picture of Nixon in the bathroom. So I wonder what Estevez's fixation with Nixon was in this movie.
I don't know.
You've also got the Vietnam angle, which is also Nixon, but that's neither here nor there, I guess. But just kind of wondered about that because there's a lot of Nixon in this movie.
Well, and the interesting thing, too, is that the body that they have and the body that they put the Nixon mask on is a corrupt politician.
True.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's weird. I mean, I have a picture of Nixon in my basement.
You do?
My dad was a good man.
He was a good man.
Couldn't really pick politicians, but he was a good man. And he had this picture that he had up near his desk at work. And from what I heard after he died, when Nixon resigned from office, my dad just went to work the next day and quietly just took the picture down, put it in the bottom drawer of his desk, and it didn't come out again until they cleaned out his desk after he passed away. So I also have a picture of Nixon, but I do not have a councilman's corpse in my basement.
Didn't you also have a T-shirt that said Nixon tan, rested and ready in 92 or something like that?
Yeah, when I was in high school, I would even joke about that now.
No. Lewis spies Susan entering her apartment across the street. They try to come up with a plan, but then Carl decides to go over to Susan's. James just thinks Carl wants to have the dirty sex with her, but Carl says he can handle it. Right.
Yeah.
After Carl leaves, Lewis asks James where Carl keeps his pellet gun, and James looks horrified. Carl tiptoes across the street until he realizes that he looks like an idiot. Then he straightens up and goes into Susan's apartment building. James watches through binoculars as Susan heads to the front door. She goes out into the hall just as Carl is approaching her door, and they scare the shit out of each other. Carl falls to the floor.
Don't kill me!
What?
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 Sorry.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I've never been better.
Do you live here?
I'm sorry if I... You first.
Do you live here in the building?
Oh, yeah, yes, I do live here in the building. For 5 years that I've been in the building.
That's funny. I've never seen you here before.
Well, I lead a very private life. I'm a phrenologist.
What exactly does a phrenologist do?
Well, I feel and interpret the size of Walt's asshole. I mean, skull features. Ow! Oh, wow. Not to impose, but if we can go inside and put some ice on this ankle, it'll be great.
Inside where?
Your apartment.
What's the matter with yours?
Oh, no, my ice machine is broken, and yours is right here. Are you gonna refuse a wounded man in dire need of medical attention?
No.
Thanks.
But I didn't catch your name.
Oh, I'm Ted Blanston, the third.
Susan Wilkins, the first.
James watches as Carl enters Susan's apartment. Lewis tells James to turn out the light. Like he says, out that light.
Yeah.
Just a weird way to say it. Carl waves at his cohorts and gives him 2 thumbs up as they both call him an asshole.
I love the look on his face. He's like just kind of blankly waving, thumbs up. They're just like,
yeah.
What an asshole.
Later on, they're drinking champagne or wine or something. He keeps toasting them before every drink.
Yeah.
James gets up to call the police, but Lewis grabs the phone receiver from his hand and hangs it up. Lewis hates the cops, so they ain't calling the cops. Susan gets an eye mask from the freezer and straps it around Carl's ankle. She gently interrogates Carl about knowing other doctors in the building and where he practices and shit like that. He lies and sidesteps and then asks for a drink. Susan goes to get it and Carl watches her, seeing a quick flash of her strangling Burger in the kitchen. Then he shakes it off. He gets up and walks into the kitchen, checking her mail as he goes. She gives him his drink and he gulps it down, for the pain. Then he asks for another. Typical Charlie.
That's right, just getting started.
Classic Charlie. They talk for a bit and Carl is on the verge of fucking things up with nearly every line he utters. Susan suggests they switch to champagne. Meanwhile, James is grumbling about Carl spending the night with a beautiful woman while he's stuck there with a lunatic and a corpse. James goes into the bathroom to take a piss, but he gets stage fright when he realizes that Burger's body is sitting in there. So he rolls the dead man out.
How many people do you think have probably grumbled that Charlie Sheen gets to spend the night with a beautiful woman while leaving them with a lunatic and a corpse?
It's probably happened more than once, I would think.
Yeah.
Lewis is aiming the pellet rifle at Susan's apartment when someone knocks on the door. It's the pizza man, played by our guest of honor in tonight's double feature, Dean Cameron. Yay! Golf clap. He's from Pedro's Pizza and Pancakes. While Lewis is counting out payment for the delivery, Pizza Man sees James rolling the corpse around in a chair and he asks what's going on. Lewis grabs the Pizza Man in a headlock and runs him around the apartment. James is freaking out, son. Shit's gone way south. Lewis runs the Pizza Man's head into a wall. The kid's head goes through the plaster and he falls to the floor, knocked out. When James asks what they're going to do with him, Lewis says they're going to need some rope with a crazed gleam in his eye. The assassin goons are in their car. Ponytail is chowing down on a burrito while the short-haired goon is making origami swans. This part's great.
Yeah.
The phone rings and it's Maxwell, and he's right pissed. He tells him that Berger had a special relationship with his campaign manager, and they need to get over to her place. And all the while he's on the phone, he's like making the swan do things like, hey, look at this, look at this.
And that phone is a brick of a cell phone.
Yeah.
It's like that was a rich man's cell phone. At that time, the cell phones that people were selling more often than not were the ones that were in the bags. Remember the ones that came in the
bag phones, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Those things were, I used to have to program those things. They were a bitch to program.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The first time I ever saw a bag phone, I was a freshman in high school. And I was in a communications class. And our teacher was kind of a gadget head anyway, and we knew that.
Right.
But we hear this loud ring because those bag phones had the loudest ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it goes off in class. We're like, what the hell? And he reaches down into this bag and pulls out a phone and says, not now, and hangs back up. And we're all like, what the hell are you, James Bond? What is that? You know?
Yeah. Hey, but we get to add this to our collection of crazy phones. We've had the briefcase phone.
Yes.
In Piranha. Didn't we have another car phone in another movie?
We had a car phone in The Conversation.
Now we have this big brick cell phone. I think there might have been one other somewhere, but...
Maybe, yeah. Lewis watches through the window as Carl and Susan drink champagne on her couch. He muses that if he had an M16, he could pick her off so easily.
Oh, man.
The pizza man is tied up on the couch with a necktie stuffed in his mouth. James sits next to him eating a slice of pizza. He asks the captive if he made the pizza, but the pizza man shakes his head. Did you make this? No, it's really good.
It's really good.
Then we're in Lewis's head for a moment, and he sees the pizza man dressed up as a Viet Cong captive and James as a GI eating Chinese food. Lewis shakes his head, and things go back to reality. James wants to feed the pizza man if he's hungry, but Lewis shuts that shit down. This commie pizza man is a prisoner, and he must be treated accordingly.
Keith David is so great. I mean, the character's way over the top.
Oh, yeah.
It's just not real, you know? But the way he gets to the point in the world of this movie is so perfect because he just notches it. Every time shit gets weirder and weirder in this movie, you see him start to go off the rails.
Yeah.
And he's just so brilliant. Man, so brilliant.
Yeah. There's moaning coming from Susan's apartment, but it ain't dirty sex. Carl is feeling around on her scalp, pretending to be a phrenologist. Then Susan gets up and says that they should go out and do something. As they go out the door, Susan catches Carl looking into her outgoing trash. She asks if he always does that, and he says it's often the best way to get to know someone. You know, like a stalker.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like maybe you might find some scuffed up porn. Who knows? You know?
Yeah. Or a Dear John letter.
Yeah. You never know. You might need one of those.
Across the street, James is holed up in the can on the phone to the police. This is a landline, kid, so there's a phone cord that goes from the wall under the bathroom door and to the phone base on James' lap. Just as he's trying to explain the situation to the cop dispatcher, Lewis kicks open the door. He's pulled the cord out of the wall socket. He tells James that they gotta go. Carl and Susan are on the move.
Does James scream? Doesn't he scream when Lewis kicks open?
He screams like a woman, yes. It's hilarious, yeah.
Oh, it's so great.
You know, anytime a man screams like a woman, it always gets me. Always.
Me too.
Just any high-pitched scream, I'm laughing.
Yeah, I know.
Lewis throws the rifle to James and hoists Berger over his shoulder and plucks his job observation report for the boys off the table, telling James that all this shit is going in the report. All of it.
All of it.
James tells him just to spell his name correctly. James pulls the pizza man up and they all exit.
I love that James is just over it. He's like, look, just spell my name right. I don't give a shit at this point.
Yeah.
So why are they taking the corpse and the pizza man with them? I don't
know.
I mean, even the pizza man.
Where's the corpse going to go? Just leave him behind.
I mean, what the hell? I don't know what they plan on doing. They said they wanted to stash him somewhere, and yet they just have him, you know?
Right.
Oh, man. This not a well thought out plan at all.
No. Down on the street, the assassin goons arrive just in time to see James, the pizza man, Lewis, and Berger's corpse coming out of the apartment building. The short-haired goon recognizes Berger immediately. From another car, Luzinski and Frost also watch the scene. James and his band of misfits pile into the cab of his pickup truck. At that same moment, Susan's vintage convertible pulls out of the underground parking garage. Once she passes James' pickup, a chase of sorts ensues. James runs a red light and a police cruiser pursues the pickup. The assassin goons argue about whether they should stop and kill the cops and get Berger's body or not. They elect not to. Turns out the cops and the cruisers are Mike and Jeff, who are apparently pulling a double.
Right?
In the morning in bikes, at night in cars. They work around the clock.
That's right.
It's like the overtime. I don't know. Mike sees the pizza man and draws his gun and tells everybody to get out of the truck. Lewis holds the pellet rifle to the pizza man's head and gets the cops to drop their guns. Cut to a little later, Lewis has stripped Mike and Jeff down to their underwear and handcuffed them to a merry-go-round in a sexually suggestive pose. Mike vows that James will swing for this, but Lewis starts laughing as he spins the merry-go-round, and James laughs too, despite himself.
Okay, so...
Oh, gay jokes.
Yeah, that's, wow, that didn't age well.
We'll get some more of those in the next movie.
Yeah.
Susan and Carl are walking on the beach. They sit and Susan kisses him. Then they lie back while making out. Now James and the guys are driving around searching for Carl and Susan. They stop for a drink. James takes off the pizza man's gag and gives him a sip of coffee. Lewis decides that they should go back along the Esplanade, which is where Carl and Susan's apartment buildings are. James thinks it's a long shot, but they go anyway. Luzinski and Frost are rigging some sort of prank in Susan's car. They finish and leave, but Frost drops a match on the carpet and the interior is on fire. On the beach, the assassin goons come upon Susan and Carl as they are making out. Ponytail points a gun at them and he starts to speak to them, but then stops when he notices that his partner has a taser. They start arguing about weapons. As the assassins march Susan and Carl across the beach, their argument gets more and more heated until the short-haired goon tases the ponytailed goon. Carl and Susan escape and run toward Susan's car, but boom! It explodes. The two make a break down an alley and have an on-the-run heart-to-heart.
Ted! What the hell is going on?
I left out a couple of things about myself.
I'm waiting, you son of a bitch!
First of all, my name isn't Ted, it's Carl. So from now on, when you yell for me in a panic, yell Carl.
Something tells me there's more!
Okay, last night, you and Jack Berger had a fight, an argument in your apartment, right?
How the hell could you possibly know that?
Look, Susan, I don't live in your building. I am a garbage man. I live across the street from you. Now, I have been watching you almost every day for the last 6 weeks.
Wait a minute! You have been spying on me?
Well, I don't really consider it spying.
What would you really consider it then?
Let me finish. Look, you and Jack had a fight. You left angry, and the next morning, I found Berger's body in the trash.
Jack's body?
Somebody killed him, Susan. For a while, I thought it was you.
No, Jack is not dead. Jack was over at my apartment last night.
Trust me, Jack is dead.
My God, no. Jack came over because there was some mix-up with a tape, and I went down to my car to get the right tape, and the tape. This is what had Jack so worked up. Come on, we gotta get this to the police.
What the hell was that for?
For lying to me. I hate liars.
Hates liars?
That's for spying on me. Come on!
The assassin goons are back in their car. The short-haired goon drives and Ponytail moans at the passenger side. In the background, we can hear emergency sirens. Ponytail asks what happened, and the short-hair says, "It was crazy, man. You got struck by lightning."
Freak storm.
Carl and Susan run into an intersection and see a parked police cruiser. They are relieved until they find Mike and Jeff still in their compromising position on the merry-go-round. Carl and Susan find the car keys and head to the cruiser.
They're just going to steal a cruiser.
Yeah. As Carl is trying to find the right key to unlock the car door, the assassin goons round the corner and try to run them down. But Carl gets the door open just in time and he and Susan jump in. The goons take the driver's side door off the cruiser and skid to a stop blocking the street. Carl starts the cruiser and barrels toward the goons and T-bones them. The goons are pretty much fine though, and when Carl comes around after a second or so, Ponytail has a gun pointed at his head. The goons pull Carl and Susan out of the car just as Maxwell Potterdam III strolls up with more goons.
Where the hell did he come from?
I don't know. Maxwell's goon squad shoves Susan and Carl into his limo just as James's crew pulls up in the pickup. They follow Maxwell's crew to the Chem Life chemical plant. James says he knew this shit was going to get heavy. He laments that all they have is a pellet gun, which tips the pizza man off for the first time that he has been held hostage all night with an air rifle. James tells him to shut up. Or if it's Emilio Estevez, he says, shut up. Charlie Sheen does, for that matter, too. They've got the Estevez.
Shut up, dickhead.
Then James has an idea and says that he has a plan. Back at the waste disposal station, Luzinski and Frost are tampering with the brake lines on James and Carl's garbage truck because, there's no greater prank than one that involves mortal danger.
Yeah, that's true.
These two knuckleheads do the tickle finger fives, but then they hear somebody coming, so they slink off. The somebody that they hear is the James gang, and they come from the garbage truck. The James gang. Why not? The somebody they hear is James's gang, and they've come for the garbage truck. As our heroes drive away in the garbage vehicle, Luzinski and Frost exchange sly, evil grins. Meanwhile, Maxwell Potterdam III is doing the villain walk down a flight of stairs at the ChemLife plant. Susan and Carl are thigh-deep in yellow waste drums. Maxwell tells them that they can't be dumped into the ocean anymore, so their final resting place will be in the Las Playas landfill. But they'll probably run out of oxygen by then anyway. The hostages are pushed down into barrels and the lids are sealed shut. James and the crew have made it back to the chemical plant and they blast through the front gate with the garbage truck. But, you guessed it, they can't stop. Everybody screams as a huge tank crashes through a mass of yellow waste barrels, bringing the truck to a stop. Inside the plant, an alarm goes off and Maxwell sends some of his goons to check it out. Our heroes are recovering from the crash. One of them accidentally hits the dump lever and all of the trash in the truck bed cascades out onto Ponytail and Short Hair as they exit the plant. James and Lewis get out of the truck and try to take the pizza man along, but he wisely refuses to go, so they leave him in the cab with Burger's corpse. The plant loading dock opens and the workers in hazmat suits come inside. Maxwell reads them the riot act. He wants every goddamn drop of waste dumped before sunrise. The workers get cracking. From inside their barrels, Susan and Carl yell for help. James and Lewis come upon the loading scene. They're hiding against a garage door, but that door opens and a loaded forklift emerges. The two men push against each other in a panic. Lewis gets out of the way, but James slips and falls and has to lie still between the forklift's wheels as it drives over him. But another forklift drives out just as James gets to his feet. The driver chases James down an aisle between pallets of barrels. As he runs, James can hear Carl and Susan screaming from inside their drums. When James reaches the end of the aisle, he nearly runs smack into another full forklift. The two vehicles swerve and avoid a collision, and Carl's drum is thrown to the ground. The lid comes off. After a quick "Hi, how are you?" the boys get up and run to rescue Susan. They run down a truck filled with barrels and jump on. Meanwhile, the plant security detains Lewis. He looks right into the camera and says that he hates rent-a-cops too. James and Carl hang on the tailgates of a moving barrel truck. Suddenly, the gates break free and they swing around, trying to grab each other as the truck speeds down the driveway. Back at the plant, Lewis has gotten the pizza man and Burger's body into the security guard's car and, of course, has stripped the rent-a-cops and handcuffed them to a fence post in a sexually suggestive position.
Yes, of course.
The style of the dog.
Yeah, yes. Le style de doggy.
The pizza man says to a growling Lewis that he has issues as they drive away with the sirens ablaze. James and Carl are still hanging on for dear life. The rifle on James' shoulder has gotten caught on one of the truck's side slats, and a pickup truck is coming the other way. A pickup that just happens to have Luzinski and Frost in it. Carl pulls James to safety just in the nick of time, and we hear Luzinski and Frost crash off screen. Luzinski and Frost were killed. No, we don't know if they were killed or not. That's another thing that's not answered. So
they probably were.
Sure.
I mean, they deserve it, though. They were hugging each other.
It's true.
If they were going to hit Emilio Estevez because the door was swinging around the side, because these tailgate doors swing out, I mean, they would have won that.
Yeah.
But they hug each other. So if they're dead, fuck them.
Besides, they tried to murder Sheen and Estevez anyway by cutting their brake lines.
You see? That's just,
yeah.
I mean, that's karma.
Came right back to him.
That's right.
The waste dumper convoy arrives at the landfill. James and Carl jump off the truck and hide behind a pile of tires. They watch as the workers unload the trucks and roll the barrels down into a stream. Maxwell Potterdam III is there too. He gets out of the limo to oversee the operation. Carl knocks out one worker and James takes another one hostage with the air rifle. James tells all the... It's coming. It's coming. James tells all the goons with the weapons to drop them and everybody to freeze. Carl hears the sirens and said the cops are here. But it's actually Lewis and the pizza man. Lewis gets on the horn and tries to sound all official, but the pizza man gets on and ruins the ruse.
This is the police. You all drop those weapons.
Yeah, you there with the pellet gun. Drop it or I'll blow your butt away for sure, buddy. I sound more like a cop than you do. You sound like a wussy, man.
Pellet gun. You think we'd use a pellet gun for something like this?
Get out!
I sound more like a cop than you do.
What does he say?
Awesome.
Well, you with the pellet gun, I'm going to blow your butt away for sure, buddy.
Yeah. Dean Cameron. The workers go after Carl and James. Lewis joins James to take out as many as possible, while Carl walks along the tops of the barrels in the trucks, banging on them to find Susan. Our heroes are rolling workers down the hill. Hell, even the pizza man gets in on the action. Carl finds Susan and releases her. They kiss passionately, but are interrupted by the rumble of a bulldozer driven by Maxwell Potterdam III. They narrowly escape as Maxwell Potterdam III pushes the truck they're in down the hill. James, Carl, and the rest of the gang run back to the rent-a-cop car and pile in, but it won't start. They get out just as Maxwell Potterdam III crushes it with the dozer. The machine gets stuck on the car, so Maxwell Potterdam III gets out and searches for them on foot. Someone hurls a talking doll into his face out of the darkness as circus music plays.
Of course.
This is where everything kind of goes off the rails here. Yeah. He walks a bit further, and Susan pops out of a trashed refrigerator and sprays him in the eyes with spray paint or something.
Some sort of aerosol.
It was red and yellow, so it could have been ketchup and mustard. We don't know. He stumbles further, and James and Carl do their trash can lid high five to his head, ringing his bell. But old Max still doesn't go down. He staggers to his limo where the pizza man is waiting in a tattered top hat, holding a broken umbrella. The pizza man opens the limo door for Maxwell, and the villain gets in. Inside, Berger's corpse is waiting for him. Maxwell Potterdam III screams and escapes the limo. Carl has the air rifle now. As Maxwell Potterdam III stumbles away from the car, Carl takes aim and shoots the bad guy in the ass. Maxie Boy lets out a yell and falls headfirst into a tube slide that drops him into the toxic water at the bottom of the hill. Our gang stands at the top of the hill and laughs at the villain's misfortunes as we dissolve to a park at dawn. A stray dog sniffs through a pile of spilled trash before noticing Mike and Jeff, who are still cuffed to the merry-go-round. The dog whimpers, but Mike says that it's not what it looks like. The dog then sniffs the merry-go-round and pisses on the police officers. What would have been funnier there is if the dog jumped up and started humping Mike.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Okay. Fade to black as the credits roll over a car. Fade to black as the credits roll over a call to the morning DJ. It's the pizza man's girlfriend talking about how he went out on a delivery last night and never came home. The end.
Once the dog gets thrown, I mean,
yeah,
like that stuff's kind of funny. It's cool. Like it kind of fits in with the rest of the movie.
Right.
But here's the thing about the ending. The police captain is also corrupt.
Right.
The evidence that Maxwell Potterdam III had on the tape probably got messed up in the toxic sludge water.
Mm-hmm.
So now they have no evidence. They have a corrupt police captain. The cops aren't even there to make any arrests anyway.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get away with this.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like in 2020, we would make this son of a bitch president. You know? Like that. To me, like this whole thing, I'm like, why are you guys laughing? You dudes are screwed.
Right.
Every last one of you are screwed.
Yeah.
You got no chance. Plus, you're like rolling with a dead body.
Yeah.
So unless you dump that body in the water to wash off your fingerprints, you're going to the clink.
Right.
Like, none of this. Oh, man.
There are a lot of charges to be had here, too. I mean, they stole a police car. They refused to, help the police when they were in danger.
Yeah.
They, speeding, reckless driving. crashes.
Broke into a chemical plant.
You know,
assaulted 2 security guards, stole their car.
Yeah.
Stole the garbage truck, even though that's where they work. I mean, there's a lot of shit going on here. So, yeah. I mean, comedies usually get tied up, you know?
Right.
So, and it didn't get tied up the way I kind of hoped it would.
Right. Yeah, I agree. When it was done, it was like, that's it? Okay. You know?
That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What did you think of this time around? I mean, I remember thinking it was incredibly funny when we saw it back in the 1990. I remember thinking it was very funny.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's because it's, 30 years on and attitudes have changed about certain stuff, or maybe my whole ideas about comedies and stuff have changed just because of time and because there have been so many great comedies that have come out since this movie was out.
Right.
I mean, this movie really, if you want to talk about comedies, I don't know. I mean, I don't like to say something's good or bad, but this comedy didn't stick the landing the way a lot of comedies did, even in that time frame.
Right.
But I don't know. What'd you think of it this time? I felt significantly different about it than I did back then.
Yeah, it felt like a different movie than it did back then.
Yeah.
And I think it's just time. It felt like a different movie than it did previously. I still laughed at a lot of the same stuff I laughed at back then, though. Some of those jokes held up really well, and some of them didn't hold up at all.
Yeah.
But I came out of it feeling it like it was just okay, whereas back then I thought, man, that's a great show. That's a great movie. That's a great comedy.
Yeah, so, I realized in watching it this time that I felt like there was going to be more there than there actually was. For some reason in my mind, I remembered it as being something more substantive than it actually was.
Yeah.
Which that's probably just because of the age I was when I saw it. Maybe that's just the whole thing, is that, well, when you're 16 or 17 or whatever,
right,
you expect something different out of a movie like this than when you're
yeah. Right.
However old I am.
Right.
But I'm kind of at a loss. Because I'm like you, I laughed at some of the same things, but I didn't find myself laughing as hard or as often as I thought I would.
Right. I think ultimately it was okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been, with a wrapped up ending, it would have been a better movie.
Yeah. I found that Charlie Sheen's presence was actually distracting me.
Oh, really?
While I was watching it. Yeah. Which surprised me.
Yeah.
But it really distracted me because it's weird looking at movies, because with movies, you see these people frozen in a moment in time. And we worship some of these people like Marilyn Monroe or James Dean or Bruce Lee or whoever because they died so young. And these moments that are frozen in time are the moments we have left of them. But then you have the other side of that, which is a movie like this, where we have this Charlie Sheen who looked like he could be a really funny comedic actor, but I don't know that his depravity had reached full bloom just yet in real life. And seeing it made me, at least, it distracted me because I was just kind of like, shit, there was a time when I looked at Charlie Sheen and felt entirely differently than I do about him now.
Right.
So I don't know. I think that being frozen in time and watching somebody like Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen, watching them grow up in public, isn't really kind to them, or at least not to Charlie Sheen.
So time was definitely not kind to Charlie Sheen. No.
Yeah. I shouldn't lump them both together because I think Estevez has had a great career.
Yeah.
And Charlie, if you want to go by the numbers, Charlie Sheen's had a great career too.
Oh, yeah.
He's just a horrible fucking person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know it's kind of a heavy thing to lay on this comedy, but it was just weird. It's very distracting.
Yeah.
Thank God for Keith David and Emilio Estevez.
Right. And Dean Cameron.
Cameron.
Yeah.
And Leslie Hope. I liked her in this
She's really
movie
good, yeah.
A lot. I love the scene where she and Carl have the heart-to-heart in the alley. And I love how when they're running earlier in that scene, she calls him a son of a bitch, and she's kind of hard-nosed when she needs to be.
Right.
But I liked her too.
I wish they'd given Dean Cameron more to do in this movie.
Yeah.
He's so charismatic and so funny, and his delivery is always spot on.
Yeah.
He could really punch up some of the jokes in this movie.
I'm going to play armchair quarterback a little bit. I almost wish that he had been cast as Frost. And the actor who played Frost had been cast as the Pizza Man.
Yeah.
Because I think he and Cameron Dye would have really worked well off of each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he would have made Frost a little more of an active character. If they had just taken Frost the way they drew him here, this pseudo-Rastafarian bullshit character, and just made him the Pizza Man, you know, and had Keith David give him a few lines where he's really taken this kid to task for appropriating all this stuff from black culture. I think that would have been a great touch.
Right.
And I think Dean Cameron maybe would have gotten a little bit more because I think he and Cameron Dye would have been a great pairing.
Right.
But
yeah.
But I agree. I mean, anytime Dean Cameron's in a movie, I want him to have more to do.
Well, I think even as the pizza guy, since he was stuck with Lewis through the movie, they could have played really well off of each other, I think.
Yeah.
They could have had a really good back and forth between the two and become reluctant partners, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that they probably could have split them up. I mean, this movie is what, like 98 minutes, you know, which is a good running time for a comedy. But they could have made this a bit longer and actually split up these pairs a bit more and had him and Lewis out running around trying to do shit. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, as it was in this movie, they had a gag in Cameron's mouth for what, like half of his screen time.
Right.
So, I mean, granted, we're talking about that because he is in both movies tonight.
Right.
But summer school had happened by the time this movie was made. So everybody knew what kind of screen presence this guy had.
Yeah. And his jokes and his delivery in summer school, very similar to what you get with ski school.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was very specific.
Very specific, yeah.
He was very specific to that time. And unfortunately for him, I don't think he got to show enough versatility in that time. So that when the shelf life ran out on that specific character, which it did probably about 1992 or 3, then, you know, his time was up.
Right.
But he's a versatile actor and he can do a lot of different stuff. I think he just wasn't given the opportunity.
But couldn't you see Cameron nowadays as like a Stanley Tucci type of actor?
Yeah, but I don't think he'll get that shot.
No,
I think he should, but he won't.
Yeah,
I don't think, unfortunately.
Because I think of of Stanley's role in Easy A, which is a great movie.
Yeah,
he and Patricia Clarkson were the best part of that entire movie. That was a great movie in general.
Yeah.
But I could see Dean Cameron playing a role like that.
Right.
With that type of rapid fire, jokey delivery.
I mean, I absolutely agree with that. I think the problem is that look at the way Stanley Tucci's career got started off and look at the way Dean Cameron's career got started off.
Right.
And that tells you what you need to know about why Dean Cameron's not getting those movies.
Right.
Even though he could do those roles easily.
Yeah.
And he would be brilliant at it. It's just unfortunate.
I thought after Sleep With Me that his career might have started to take a different direction because he was really good in that. He played was a paraplegic character?
I think so.
Which was neither here nor there to his character, really. It was just his character was in a wheelchair.
Right.
But that role was a little different for him, and he did it really well. So I kind of thought maybe from there, maybe that would have put him into like the indie character role. And I don't think he would ever be like an Eric Stoltz because Eric Stoltz was more of a serious actor. But I could almost see him going the way of maybe like a John Cusack, where he could do zany comedies and then maybe he could turn it into romantic comedies and then into serious, serious dramas. Yeah, dark comedy too, yeah.
The brilliance of Cusack, in my opinion, is that he can navigate your say anything, you're better off dead, that kind of stuff. But then he can also go and do movies like Ice Harvest or Grosse Point Blank, something like that that's darker. I think Dean Cameron could have navigated that if he'd been given the opportunity.
Right.
But I really wonder, and I have no evidence for this, I have no theory about it really, other than just a question about how long of a shadow Summer School cast over Dean Cameron's career. I would just really be interested to ask him what he thinks about that.
Right.
You know, and maybe he doesn't see it that way. Maybe he's happy with what he's doing. As a fan, I just want to see him in more stuff, doing more stuff.
Right. Yeah, I do too.
I mean, that's the way we both are. We've both been a fan of this guy since Summer School.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, It's just as a fan, you want to see this guy getting opportunities to do more stuff if he wants to.
Absolutely. So,
yeah.
Remake of Rembrandt?
Nah.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't know what the point would be. I mean, you got to say this. I can't think. Are there any other movies that involve garbage men as the main characters? I'm trying to.
Can't really think of any.
I mean, the only other garbage man scene I can think of is from the opening of Commando. Remember that Schwarzenegger movie Commando at the very beginning?
Yeah.
But other than that, I can't really think of a movie, which is probably a good thing because who knows how the Japanese garbage union people would react. You know, I mean, it's probably a good thing.
It's a bad idea to piss off the Japanese garbage union. Really is.
They're a tenacious bunch.
They are. Yeah.
There's a lot of honor involved in that profession.
That's very true.
So
well, we're going to take an intermission and we'll be right back with our coverage of Ski School.
Go get a trash juice.
Trash juice.
And now, intermission. Refreshment time.
Seconds until showtime.
Live in concert on the big screen at the all-night drive-in picture show, it's your favorites, Critter McGinnis and the Sour Pickle Boys featuring Big Wayne. Now appearing one night only in a special drive-in production on July 4th when the sun goes down. Note, this is a reschedule of the July 4th concert scheduled in 2018 due to the hangnail epidemic that plagued the band, and we don't even talk about 2019 due to Big Wayne's legal situation. There will be no refunds issued for these shows, so don't ask. Featuring all the hits. The only bones she jumped were attached to fried chicken. You can't smoke anymore at the football game. I may not be much, but I'm your stepdad. She must be at the other Dollar General. And Wagon Wheel. Tickets are $100 per car load, payable in American currency only. No Camel Cash will be accepted at this time. Critter McGinnis and the Sour Pickle Boys featuring Big Wayne. Now appearing one night only on the big screen at the all-night drive-in picture show.
This event has been rescheduled for Hug Your Hound Dog Day on September 14th. 1 minute until showtime.
Coming soon to this drive-in theater.
What do you give the kid who has everything?
Daddy said anything I wanted, anything in the store.
For Eric Bates, it was the only toy in his father's store
I know what I want.
that wasn't for sale.
What you're offering me is not a job, sir. It's an insult, and I'm insulted, and I'm splitting.
Now, Jack Brown has been made an offer he can't refuse.
$10,000?
For that kind of money, if Eric blows his nose, you wipe it.
And if he can survive 1 week with Eric...
Was I bad?
What you were gave a new meaning to the word bad.
he may even find himself a friend.
If you want a friend, you don't buy a friend. You earn a friend.
Richard Pryor, Jackie Gleason, Ned Beatty, and Scott Schwartz in a Richard Donner film, The Toy.
It's showtime.
And now, please enjoy our feature presentation.
At the All-Star Ski School, students drink massive amounts of beer, have dirty sex with anything that moves, do the lambada, and occasionally ski. This is Ski School.
Ski School. It's not about learning how to ski. For Dave Marshall and his gang, life is one big party.
Welcome to my kingdom. I will bed you all before the night is through.
They're the best at what they do.
I've been watching you ski. You're really good.
May I present to you
Section 8.
But the competition is fierce.
The dead. I control this mountain, and I say this is your last year.
With their backs against the wall, they'll do anything to win.
Do you want to have sex with me?
Okay. Let's get naked!
They've got style.
Let the games begin.
Class.
Was this something about your wigwam?
Oh. And the perfect secret weapon.
Who is she? Where does she come from? You really care? Oh my God.
If they don't win, they'll lose the mountain forever. Scum.
Let's settle this once and for all. The best against the best. What do you say? Sure. And we ski the dome.
So for the wildest, most outrageous ride of your life, check into ski school.
Anyone for hot tub?
I love my life.
Ski school. It's not about learning how to ski.
Did we win?
We begin with an introduction of the director of the ski school, Reed Jansen's, played by Mark Thomas Miller, a giant horse's ass and a top-shelf skier. The announcer on the slopes verbally fillets him and his skiing prowess as he races down a steep slope along with his team.
Welcome, everybody, to the hottest ski week in the world. It's the annual spring ski pageant, and ski school director Reed Jansen kicks things off with an exhibition of skiing that we've come to expect from him. Yes, Reed has made this pageant his own. 5 grueling days for whom Reed Jansen calls serious skiers only. For Reed Jansen, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing, and the competition here is fierce. Each instructor is determined to prove that he and his ski school section are the best, and Reed himself appears more determined than ever to let no one dethrone him.
Come on, let's go, bend your knees, bend your knees!
I'm sure the last skier to beat Reed, Dave Marshak, head instructor for Section 8, is preparing to do just that, although he's curiously missing from Reed's pre-pageant ski exhibition. Slalom, downhill, and freestyle. Skiing is what it's all about, and this week promises to be a memorable one. The instructors will soon have their ski school recruits before them, so they're no doubt busy trying to figure out a way to defeat King of the Mountain, Reed Jansen.
Where is Dave Marshak and the Section 8 team anyway? Well, they're preparing for their upcoming challenge by hosting a party in their dorm filled with topless women, day-glow clothing and blacklighting, early 90s technopop, and all the beer you can drink. This is really what this whole movie is about. God bless Section 8.
Section 8, which is the discharge designation in the military for a recruit that is mentally unfit for service. I love that.
That's really good.
That's great. And I mean, this party scene, I think they actually just use most of these shots again later on in another party scene.
They do.
Yeah.
They do, yeah.
And the thing that's funny, before we get going, just so people can get a picture in their heads of what the people look like in this movie, the clothing and everything, basically it's what people are wearing right now. Like the high-waisted shit that's come back, and the day glow, all that stuff has come back. And those of us who were there, we're not like those fucking hippies from the 60s who say, if you don't remember it, you weren't really there, man. We say, if you don't remember it, you're so fucking lucky because it sucked. The 80s sucked. They were terrible.
Yes, they were. Awful.
Just a horrible decade. Horrible decade.
Reed arrives at the party to retrieve his girlfriend, Paulette, played by Charlie Spradling. As they're leaving, Dave, played by Dean Cameron, and his partner in crime, Fitz Fitzgerald, played by Stuart Fratkin, meet them at the door.
Hi, Reed.
Shut up. I say this is your last year and there's nothing you can do about it.
You're too late, Reed. I've already put into motion an elaborate plan. A series of events diabolically designed to rid this mountain of you and your satanic presence forever.
Before you think about getting me off this mountain, you're gonna have to win first.
Okay.
Have you seen your recruits yet?
Recruits?
We cut to the next morning where Fitz awakens with a scream to see a ragtag bunch of beer-addled rejects, including Ed Young, played by Patrick Labourteau. I'm hoping I say that dude's name right because I have no clue.
I have no idea how you say his name either.
But this is a summer school reunion because he and Dean Cameron were both in summer school together.
That's right. It's reunion night here at the All Night Drive-In Picture Show. Get your trash juice.
After seeing these weirdos, Dave says that they're going to need some help. Help is in the form of John Rowland, played by Tom Bresnahan, a blue-eyed fish out of water from Montana, but a crack skier. As he enters the campus, he bumps into Lori, played by Darlene Vogel, and they share a smile to let you know that they will surely hook up before the end of the movie.
Bong, 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 bong.
Oh, yeah.
Dirty sex alert, dirty sex alert.
John enters Reed's office to register. Reed, like the arrogant son of a bitch that he is, questions John's background and isn't impressed. John came to ski with the best, and Reed laughs at him. And angry John says that he came to ski, so who is he skiing with? Reed's lackey Derek, played by Spencer Rochford, says Section 8. Reed sends John in their direction. John arrives at the open door of Section 8 and is greeted with, Shakespeare?
Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I. Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit? For what? For Hecuba. What is Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? You would drama state with tears, cleave their general ears with horrid speech, make mad the guilty and appall the free. The play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king.
Afterwards, it's time to hit the slopes. Section 8 might be a bunch of partying ne'er-do-wells, but they're effortlessly great on skis. Yeah, look, I don't know shit about skiing, so I'll just say that it looked like they were putting on a clinic out there, doing flips and twists in the air and shit. John was especially impressive, and Dave and the boys agree.
God! Did you see that? It wasn't bad.
Did you see that?
We saw that, but and it was all right.
I saw that.
It was passable.
Are you erect?
Can we do that?
Well, warm-ups are over, kids. It's time for the All-Star Ski School individual and team competition. The first event is the slalom. You know, when I was a baby, I used to slalom all over myself when I was teething.
God. Oh, my God.
Yeah. I scripted this one. The first race is Fitz against Section 1's Eric Bloor, played by John Piper Ferguson, followed by Ed versus Derek. After that, Dave does a solo race. The announcers mention that Dave always qualifies, but his team doesn't always deliver. Then Reed does his solo shot, followed by John. John finishes second behind Reed in the standings.
I'm still recovering from that terrible... Sorry. I'm just now getting back into this. You really threw me out of it.
You okay?
Oh.
Yeah, pull it together.
Good Lord.
At the gym, Reed gives his team the business for their not-so-stellar performance. Meanwhile, Paulette is struggling with the hand weights. Fitz comes over to help her, looks at her chest, and tells her that she's got some really big muscles. He takes the weights from her, but the weights prove too, quote, heavy for him, and he falls face first into her breasts, which makes her laugh.
Sure.
Never met the guy before, and he's got his face in your chest, and you think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Reed sees this and gets all alpha male, and he and Section 1 confront the hooligan.
Howdy, boys. What are you doing here? I'm an ambassador of goodwill. And who might you be?
Trying to cop a cheap feel at the expense of my lady.
I'm simply helping a damsel in aerobic distress. What kind of men are you who leave a struggling young lady without anyone to spot her?
Shut up.
Wait. I know who you are.
Throw his ass out.
Go ahead. Do with me what you will. Beat me savagely and leave me in the gutter to die. Au revoir, mon chéri. Someday we will run naked under a full moon.
Scum. Don't worry, Paulette. It'll never happen again.
Paulette laughs as Fitz leaves and laughs under her breath at Reed's alpha maleness.
Now, okay, so I gotta say, in this, I gotta agree with the asshole a little bit here. He comes over because Fitz has his face in a woman's chest that he just met.
Right.
Yeah, granted, she's laughing, but come on.
Right.
The women are not treated well in this movie, really.
No.
I mean, just not at all. Charlie Spradling, though, with that woman smiles.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And she's got charisma to burn. I did not look at her credits before we started this. I would have to look to see what else she's done, or if she's done anything else.
She was in Wild at Heart.
Was she really?
She was, yeah. And I forget exactly what the story is with her character. She's just like a quick, just a short, small clip in the movie.
Uh-huh.
But Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern are at a bar, and he's telling her a story about, I think, having sex with a girl, and Charlie Spradlin is the girl. And
I remember that, yes.
Nicolas Cage, digs his hand up into her, between her legs.
Yes.
Yeah. That's her.
Oh, wow.
But I think beyond that, I think she's mostly done softcore stuff, which is a shame because she's got a lot of charisma.
She does. I mean, she does not say a lot in this movie, really.
No.
But she's so good because she does without them really well. You know what I mean? She's actually so expressive that she doesn't need the lines that she's deprived of.
Right.
Because there's no character development in this movie. Character development does not exist here, you know?
No.
So nobody's getting that. But women are even getting a worse shake in this movie than the men are.
Back at Section 8, everyone is drinking.
Really?
Yeah, women are there too, so everything is in place. Dave informs them of their itinerary.
I hope I don't have to be the one to tell you this, but ski school is not about learning how to ski. Okay, party at the lodge at 7, courtesy of our esteemed ski school director. Hot tubs at 11:30, contents TBA.
Let the games begin.
Okay, how many for chocolate hot tubs?
Duh.
What are we gonna fill the hot tubs with?
Women?
Good. Glad to have you with us. Now, I don't know why you all came here, but I suspect a couple of you want to sleep with me. And frankly, that scares me. Entertain no fears, we'll have you hooked up in no time. With what, to what, I'm not exactly sure. Anybody have anything else to add? Johnny?
Let's win the race tomorrow.
Of course, absolutely win the race. Any ideas on how we are going to win this race?
Party!
T. R. T. R. T. R. T. R.
Car.
Okay, so if you heard a rather disgusting sound in the background of that clip, well, we're given the impression that Fitz might be masturbating while Dave is giving his speech. At the end, when he screams, "Party!" we see that he was just shaking up a beer can and pops the top to symbolize the completion of his gratification.
I'm not saying, I'm not going to say what you just told me.
Oh, you son of a bitch. Come on. Come on. Come on. You make me say stupid shit too. Come on.
I'm glad you pointed that out. Because I didn't want listeners to think that you were pleasuring yourself.
Well, I'll be doing that later on during the sex scenes.
No, I'm sorry. I'll say it.
No, you ruined it now. You ruined it now, you son of a bitch.
Say it. I'll say it. I'm coming out. I'm doing it live.
All right, good.
I'm glad you pointed that out because I didn't want people to think that I was pleasuring myself during this scene.
I'm sure that'll happen later during the sex scene.
I guarantee it'll happen during the sex scene. And I'm going to demand eye contact from you. So get it together, sir. Clean your glasses off and stare into the screen. Because when we get into that hot tub, I'm pulling one off for Master Reed. I mean Master Race. Master Reed. Sorry.
I gave you the ball, didn't I?
You gave me two, sir, and I stroked them mightily.
Section 8 arrives at the lodge party and finds it to be a bit stuffy.
This is not a party. It's a still life. Everyone still has their clothing on.
Oh my God. I think I've heard this song in my dentist's office.
I don't know if I could do this, Dave. This is totally and emphatically against my principles.
No one said it was going to be easy. Now look closely, my friends, because what you are seeing is the beginning of the end. And it's up to us to do something about it. Who's with me?
Me.
Welcome to my kingdom. I will bed you all before the night is through.
Fitz sets his sights on Paulette. He steals a guy's glass of wine and then stares at her until she notices him. She laughs and comes over to him. She asks him if he has the time. He goes to check his watch and purposefully spills his wine down the front of her dress. She laughs and says she's going to go change. He says that's a great idea and gets a devilish look in his eyes. I hope that later in life Fitz doesn't become a serial rapist.
What is it with the perverts in these two movies?
Oh my God.
Watching women undress and shit.
Fitz's behavior in this movie is deplorable.
It really is. And the thing about it is that it's clear that Paulette likes him.
Right.
He can take the slow road to Shangri-La here and be cool.
Yeah.
And yet he's sneaking over and watching her undress in her room after the second meeting with her, dude. Like, I'm not a prude. Don't get me wrong here, man. I mean, you're going to figure it out later on in these sex scenes. Things are going to get weird in the booth. But I'm telling you, this guy's got issues, man. I mean, I got to know what kind of bedwetting thumbsucker this dude is at home,
No kidding. Ed surveys the bar's lighting rig and disappears into a computer room. John sees Lori from across the room. Eric and Derek are both trying to get into her pants at the same time, and her interest is about 16 levels below zero.
Oh.
She locks eyes with John, and he motions for her to meet him outside. Her interest is about 16 levels above zero.
Hey, thermometer humor. I like that.
Yeah, I like that. The lights keep going in and out, and Reed is getting pissed.
So the electrical system for the entire hotel is in the lounge. Is that right? In the AV closet in the lounge. Is that right?
It appears so.
Okay, continue.
Paulette is changing into her room, and Fitz is, of course, watching her change from behind a door. Oh, Fitz, you sexual predator, you.
Hello? Oh, it's you. Well, Reed was telling some of his friends that he was going to sleep with me tonight. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind, I don't think it's worth playing games with him. Well, of course there's someone else. He's really cute, and I think his name is Fritz or Fitz.
I'm in love.
I know he doesn't have any money, but I don't know. There's something about him. I don't know. But listen, I'm gonna get dressed and I'll call you downstairs. Bye.
Paulette, you're killing me. You're killing me.
His middle name is Roofy.
As Paulette's bra hits the floor, the lights go out, and Fitz is beside himself. Lori is still searching for John, and Ed is still searching for the right music and lighting. Lori finds John in the hallway. Ed hits a button on a remote, and the atmosphere changes instantly. Disco lights begin to spin, and rock music begins to blare. The party begins to jump instantly. Reed singles out Ed, and he and his J. Crew models toss Ed out on his face. Derek smashes Ed's cassette tapes under his shoe and calls Ed a homophobic slur. Dave and Fitz watch from a balcony and promise payback while tossing Ed a beer. I love how the beers seem to come out of nowhere in this movie so often that it makes you wonder if they hired Steve Austin's beer handler.
Yeah, Stone Cold. I do love that. I love there's at one point where, isn't like the director of the lodge, he walks in to say something to Section 8, and he says something about beer, and somebody tosses one and just goes past him.
Yeah.
Love that.
Lori and John end up in a linen closet. There's just so happens to be 3 bottles of champagne on the floor in the linen closet.
Absolutely.
Before they can crack open a bottle and get down to the devil's business, Dave, Fitz, and Ed bust in. The boys crack wise, and Dave opens a small door in the wall and pulls out a long length of cord. He gives John a camera and says he needs his assistance. Then we get a quick montage of the boys running the long cord over a rooftop and into someone's room. No, not Paulette's room. I'm sure Fitz is already on that one. Ed has somehow made it back into the computer room and is rigging up another camera. Meanwhile, Lori approaches old dumb Derek and John films it behind a plant.
Hey, babe.
I've had my eyes on you.
Yeah? Yeah.
I want you. There's this little thing that really turns me on. I like to tell you what to do.
Just say the words, I'll do anything you want.
Do you want to be with me right now?
Okay.
No. I want you to answer the questions with the words that I use. That's what really turns me on. So, do you want to be with me right now?
I really want to do it with you right now.
Can you wait for that to happen?
I can't wait for that to happen.
Really?
Really?
Give me 5 minutes, and I'll go upstairs and slip into something a little more comfortable. Now, when you come inside, don't turn on the lights, and don't say a word. Take off your clothes and then slide into bed right next to me.
This word thing has got me totally hot.
Derek, I've never met anyone who has a way with words like you. Remember, room 220.
Room 220, where I'm gonna do you.
Then Laurie approaches Eric. John is still rolling. Dave and Ed watch from the computer room.
Hey, Eric. Great party.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something?
Your wish is my command.
Do you want to have sex with me?
I want to have outrageous sex with you.
It's very interesting.
Do you want to run your fingers?
Let me see the manual. I want to run my fingers all over your body.
Dave lights the manual on fire.
Here you go. Make it happen.
Reed has a video scheduled for the party. It's his highlight reel, naturally, and he's excited to show it to Paulette. He then insults her dress and addresses the partygoers. He mentally masturbates himself in front of these poor witnesses, talking about how great he is and how you can be just like him after taking his ski school courses. Dave gives an orgasmic, yes, 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 and then waves at Reed.
I love that one extra who's there, and they just kind of pan past her. We see her a few times in this movie. She's got long brown hair. She's got a very distinct face. So when you see her, you're just like, oh yeah, her. She's the one that Lombardo's with Dave later on in the sauna. Okay. And when they pass her, the look on her face while Reed is talking, she's just like got a big eye roll going on. And she's just like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like her reaction's just perfect. Everybody else is a little stone-faced, but she's great. She's absolutely great.
The video begins and Reed is not only the star, but the narrator. If Paulette could roll her eyes any further back in her head, she could see the crown of her scalp. Eric fumbles with the condom like it was his first time. The phone rings and it's Laurie.
Hi, baby.
Just close your eyes and fantasize. Now, when I come into the room, I don't want you peeking. It might take me out of the mood.
Chicks dig me.
Frighteningly easy.
Derek saunters down the hallway as Eric continues to fumble with the condom. Derek enters room 220. We cut back to Reed declaring, God, I'm good, as Paulette likely thinks to herself that she will never fuck this guy. Eric has the pillow over his face and the covers pulled up to his chin. As you may have guessed, Eric is also in room 220. Derek walks in and assumes it's Laurie under the covers and begins to strip off his clothes. Paulette isn't getting any attention from Reed as he's stifling his boner watching himself ski. She says that she'd rather make it with Eric or Derek, and he says, transfixed on his visage. With a click of the button, Ed stops the Reedgasm and begins to play a doctored video.
I want to run my fingers all over your body. Just say the words. I'll do anything you want. I want to have outrageous sex with you. I can't wait for that to happen.
This is some kind of joke. Somebody set this up.
Your wish is my command.
This is the good part. I like the next part. This is not my film. My men are not homosexuals. This is a fraud. Can't you see? They're not even in the same room.
Derek climbs into bed and removes the pillow from Eric's face.
Did a good job.
Thank you.
Excellent work there.
My men are not homosexuals. Of course, because as we all know, gay people can't ski, right?
Actually, I think they can.
They can?
Yeah, they can.
I've been wrong all this time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think Reed's wrong about that one. He's a good skier, though.
He is a good skier.
He's top tier.
Head of the class.
Yeah.
Gay people can't ski.
Yes, they can.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
Don't listen to Reed Jansen, dude. Listen to him on the slopes, not in the lodge.
I mean, he's really good at skiing. I figure he knows what he's talking about.
No, he knows what he's talking about on the slopes, not in the lodge.
Okay.
Okay?
So he doesn't know everything about skiing. That's what you're saying?
He knows everything about skiing. He just doesn't know about everything about people who can or cannot ski.
Oh, so that's why he assumed John probably wasn't any good when he came in, because he never trained with people that were better than him.
Because he doesn't know.
Doesn't know.
You're exactly right.
Wow.
We'll talk about this later. I have a feeling we're going to have to revisit this. Good God.
Section 8 is kicked out of the lodge. They celebrate with a round of pocket beers.
Of course.
Meanwhile, John and Lori go back to her room and have dirty sex. Lori promises no strings. The next morning at breakfast, Reed promises Derek that he's got a girl lined up for Derek. Derek thanks Reed and swats him on the ass. Gay jokes! Seems Reed may not be on the up and up. I know that's shocking, right?
Oh, yeah.
He and the school president, Mr. Bryce, played by Mark Brandon, have a shady deal to own part of the mountain. Let's listen in on this bullshit.
My client would like to inspect the property, but she feels the price is not too far off.
Yes, I think it's an excellent price when you consider the upside potential. Did you see those projections I left for you? Yes, I'll hold. Reed, these people are worth millions. And they're depending on me, and I've got to depend on you, but you are fucking me up. You see, they're buying the mountain. When they do, I'm going to end up owning a major share. Now, if I own a major share, you're going to own a little piece of that pie yourself. Do you understand? So I'm going to tell you one last time. You and your clones have to start taking care of business now.
Then why don't we just throw the scum out now?
Because Dave Marshak is some kind of goddamn folk hero to a lot of people around here. In order to toss him out, I've got to have one hell of a good reason. You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Smash cut to Reed slamming open the door of Section 8's dorm. Dave and the boys are laying around after a hard night of debating politics over highballs and cigars.
Or mindless partying. I mean, one of the two. I'm not sure which.
Right. Cheap beer.
Yeah.
Reed issues a warning that after this week, they're going to destroy them on the slopes, and then Section 8 will be out on their asses. Speaking of slopes, they're skiing again. First section trounces Section 8. Dave and Fitz brainstorm over ideas to change things up. Fitz, do you have any ideas? Subliminal hypnosis. Suggestions to their subconscious mind as they doze. As John sleeps, Dave repeats to him, "If you want to be the best, you must lose your mind." The next day, Section 8 rebounds nicely with a stellar set of acrobatic ski jumping.
Jesus Christ. It's like, what's the dumbest fucking play you come up with? Subliminal hypnosis. Perfect. Let's do that. I'm sure it'll work.
Yeah.
The government proved it in MK Ultra. Their search for the Manchurian candidate. Totally do that.
Worked well there, yeah.
Yeah, feed them beers and get them to assassinate someone. Okay,
yeah.
Let's get this guy to ski better. It's whatever.
As Ed sleeps, Dave tells him that he sleeps with too many women. He must not have sex from this moment on. Then we cut to Dave, Fitz, and Ed walking by a hot tub with 3 topless women cavorting in it. Ed excuses himself and says that he has to return to a dream. Fitz wants to sexually assault these women, but Dave stops him and says he has a plan.
Jesus Christ.
Ed gets cornered by 3 women in bikinis because he's a paunchy sex magnet and all the women seemingly want him. He has to explain to them that he can't have sex right now. Not that he isn't capable. I mean, they don't call him Mr. Ed for nothing.
Jesus God.
That wasn't my joke.
That was baked in, ladies and gentlemen. That was baked in to ski school.
Dave and Fitz don robes and ascots and intrude on 10 women in a sauna.
Hello?
Hi.
I know what you're thinking, but worry not, my children, because we are employed by, what's his name?
Master Race.
Master Reed.
Master Reed?
Master Reed.
Sorry. And he asked us to stop by and make sure you were prepared for tomorrow's activities.
And in order to be completely ready, he made us promise him to teach you how to lambada, the forbidden dance.
And how appropriate it is that we find you here in a sauna.
No questions from you just yet. Fitz here is going to brief you on the historical perspective of the lambada. Take it away, Fitz.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome, Fitz.
Lambada.
Booga, booga.
The movements have been around before time itself.
Criminy, that's a long time.
It started centuries ago with the South Americans who discovered fire.
Fire? That's hot.
Hot, hot, hot.
Ouch.
As tribesmen, they create fire with the Zippo, and the hot flames at their feet create the rhythmic motion of the lambada.
And that's how the lambada came to be.
Don't forget, ladies, Reed wants a full demonstration bright and early in the morning.
Otherwise, why would we be here?
Ain't no reason.
Now let's lambada, shall we? Okay, grab your partner. Everybody, come on, get up, find a partner. You guys get up, get a partner. Come on, now let's get into it. Now we're gonna lambada. Now grab your partner by the waist. Ready? Gyrate, gyrate, gyrate motion. Gyrate, gyrate, gyrate motion.
Like a sack full of axe handles. I can dance with you till the cows come home. Better still, I can dance with the cows till you come home. Oh Christ, I've come.
And the lambada is so early 90s, isn't it?
Oh my God. I mean, misogyny, sexual predation, racism. It's just all here. Tribesmen who create the lambada. That is not the evolution of the lambada, ladies and gentlemen. Not only is it just like horrible, it's not true.
Right.
My God. Wow.
Dave and Fitz end up in a hot tub with all 10 women.
Of course they do.
Yeah. Reed ends up in a hot tub with Derek.
Of course.
The next morning, Dave is reading a book called The Skeptical Inquirer. A scantily bikini-clad woman walks through their room, and Dave takes issue with it. What does this mountain come to? Half-naked women walking around at 9:30 in the morning. Last year, they were totally naked. And we're skiing again.
Yes.
Reed is still leading in the standings with John in a close second. John says he can do better. A mystery woman who we briefly saw at the beginning of the movie enters wearing a gold lame jacket. Every man's gaze shifts to her as she walks by. In the cafeteria, Fitz and Ed have a couple of buckets of snow and are blissfully making snowballs. Cut to Dave and Paulette, who are talking at a table.
2 nights ago, I was having an out-of-body experience. I was an Indian chief, and I was in the banquet room of the lodge, and your evil twin was there. We were completely naked, and we were on top of the podium. And she was really getting into my headdress, and I was doing an obscure yet all too familiar rain dance, and my feathers were having a very, very ticklish effect on you. She was saying something. What was it?
Was it something about your wigwam?
Yes. Yes, my wigwam. And there was an adjective used to describe my wigwam, but that's not important now. Reed! What a surprise! We were just talking about Paulette's twin sister.
What?
Paulette, she has a twin. Didn't you know?
What's he talking about?
My other half.
Your other half? Well, I'd love to meet her.
I bet you would. A rare pleasure. She was here a couple nights ago. Reed, good skiing on the mountain today.
Indeed. Your boys really seem to be holding their own.
That is so witty! He kills me!
Dave. When are you gonna grow up, huh?
When you admit that you love me and can't live another day without me by your side.
Paulette, would you care to join me at another table? I'd love to hear about your twin sister. It sounds so distinct.
Well, she's not at all like me.
Oh, so she's boring, stupid, and ugly.
Reed, you animal! Wow!
Shut up, Dave. I'd hate to have to make an example out of you.
Will the director of ski school please report to Sector 7? Director of ski school, report to
Excuse
Sector
me.
7.
That's me.
Fitz, Have you met Paulette?
No, as a matter of fact, I haven't, Dave.
Well, do what you will.
Hi, I'm Fitz.
I'm Paulette.
Paulette, can I just tell you that that dress you were wearing the other night looked very attractive?
Thank you.
No. Thank you.
I don't understand this conversation between Dave and Paulette. I would think that Dave would know that Fitz is into her.
Right.
So I don't understand why he has this conversation with her, really.
I don't either.
Fuck it, it's not Citizen Kane, right? Let's just keep going. Just keep going.
Ed hands out snowballs to the line of cafeteria enthusiasts. John sees Lori talking to another guy and gets a little jealous.
What the fuck?
The mystery lady enters and sits with John. She introduces herself as Victoria, played by Ava Fabian, and she is quite impressed by his skiing. Lori notices her and she gets jealous. She passes her address to him and Dave proudly proclaims that he is one of us. Reed returns to the cafeteria and sees Fitz flirting with Paulette. Fitz flees the scene and Dave hands Reed a snowball. He throws a snowball at Fitz and that sets off a cafeteria snowball fight. Somewhere a janitor watches the melee and realizes that he has to clean this up. He reaches into his back pocket and pulls out his fresh check stub since in this scenario it's Friday. He looks at his hourly wage and sighs. He vows to freshen up his resume because he knows that Reed isn't going to give him a raise. Later he would land a better paying janitorial job at a technological school where things are quieter and no one gets laid. While these students might be sexually frustrated, they clean up after themselves because they come from families that have taught them respect for their peers and their surroundings. Not like that other side of the tracks rabble-rouser Dave Marshak. No, these kids are quiet introverts and don't like to make a scene. It'll be a nice place to retire from, he thinks. His wife Alice will appreciate how he comes home from work not so harried. His new boss Frank likes him from the start and they form a friendship. It's a new beginning for this custodian. Godspeed, sir.
What the fuck was that all about?
Nothing. Paulette is alone in the hot tub and I'll be damned if Fitz isn't watching her simmer. She removes her top, arches her back, and takes in the night air. Then she realizes someone is watching her, locks eyes with Fitz, and laughs. He howls at the moon, and she giggles. Fitz really knows how to court a girl, doesn't he? I think it's amusing that she finds his voyeurism charming. It's like a woman undressing and seeing a man feverishly masturbating outside her window, and she's just like, oh, isn't he sweet?
You know, this scene confounded me in the movie, but at this very moment, I'm still wondering what a cafeteria enthusiast is. I got a little hung up back there. I would also like to talk about this invisible janitor's backstory at some point, but his journey is a fascinating one indeed. But
yeah,
what's a cafeteria enthusiast? Is this a person who collects trays, or
they enjoy the cafeteria lifestyle? You got the long assembly line of food,
right? Sure, yeah.
You can pick out your dessert right there in front of you. You can get you a beef Manhattan.
There's a certain kind of cafeteria gravy, I think, too.
Yeah. Little sludgy, but also kind of thin.
But deep brown, salty.
Yeah.
Instant mashed potatoes.
Gristly roast beef.
Okay, go ahead. Continue.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bryce shows up at Section 8 and interrupts the boys during a game of limbo.
Well. Anybody got a beer?
Mr. Bryce, nice jacket.
Shut up. This time, Marshak, you've gone way too far. And I'm giving the board of directors a full report of your conduct.
The skiing naked. The snowballs. And your unspeakable behavior also. You're all a bunch of animals. And you're as good as out of here. Because it's just a simple matter of filing the proper paperwork. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, mister. You got a problem, young man? No. Fine. Have a nice night.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, mister?
Wait a second, guys. I mean, maybe he's right. Maybe we have gone too far.
Ed, it's not how far you go. It's how go you far. We party here.
We party big. We party now.
Ed, you get beer. Fitz, you get beer. Johnny, you get laid. Let me see Victoria's address again.
John goes to Victoria's swanky house. He says it's just like his place.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
He asks what she does for a living, and she says she spends money, just like I do.
Yeah.
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 He asks if she wants to go to Dave's party, and she says sure. What should she wear? She begins to disrobe in front of him to the worst blues song you've ever heard. And then they have dirty sex.
It's weird that they start out in the bedroom, but then they cut to them having sex on the dining room table.
Well, I mean, the sex did travel down the stairs, I guess, right? Because her bedroom was upstairs. And if they end up on the dining room table, they must have just, did the nasty all the way down the staircase. Because that's comfortable.
Well, to me, you don't seem all that surprised by this, which makes me then wonder if there's another backstory we should be talking about here.
No, it's just some people have sex on banisters, I guess. I don't...
I'm picturing your mother, feverishly, furiously scrubbing the dining room table right now.
I'm just picturing two naked people, sliding down a banister together in coitus.
Coitus. Oh, God. You used that word. You used the
word. Connected. Locked in like Legos.
So you take a can opener to get them apart.
Oh, God.
All right. We gotta, let's just...
Back to it. Dave is having another neon and blacklight party. The party spills over into Reed's gymnasium, and the partygoers effectively destroy the place. Dave makes a long-distance phone call to Guam on Reed's dime.
Yeah, right.
Reed arrives at the scene of the debauchery and vows to murder Section 8. Back on the mountain, Section 1 sabotages Section 8 through blatant cheating and chicanery, including Reed swinging a grappling hook while skiing, hooking Dave's leg, and dragging him down the mountain. And that counts.
What the hell, man? They're like, we're going to sabotage these bastards by blatantly cheating in front of the referees. And everybody's going to smile and go, that's first section. Those guys are just great skiers.
They're the best skiers. Yeah, the best skiers.
The grappling hook thing was mind-boggling.
After the disastrous day on the slopes, John approaches Lori and their conversation goes south quickly. Seems Lori did want to have something with strings after all. Well, then say it.
Just say it.
Victoria pulls up in a Corvette and invites John and Section 8 to a party at her place to put a button on that shitty conversation. Dave and the boys regroup.
Tough day. Johnny may be the only one doing good in the singles competition, but we still have a chance for the team cup.
Right.
Hey, you guys, maybe we should go to bed early tonight.
We haven't even partied yet.
Maybe partying will help. No, Ed's right. It's time to pull back and take it easy. Now, I know a quiet little restaurant where we can get a nice piece of fish and just relax.
A nice piece of fish.
Goddamn right. A nice piece of fish and a quiet night means partying, of course. Fitz and Dave agree that John is becoming a great dancer. Dave says that there is just one more thing he has to do. Dave tells a sleeping Lori under her room door with a rolled-up poster that you love Johnny. Johnny loves you. You must show Johnny that you love him even though he's losing his mind. Suggestions to her subconscious mind while she dozes.
Shit, I think I love Johnny now.
Did you fall asleep watching this movie?
I might have.
Because if you did, then maybe you do love Johnny.
I really want to play a game of Twister right now. I don't know
why. John knocks on Lori's door the next night. He enters and she's playing a game of Twister alone.
Holy shit!
She says left foot red and he says he'll do anything for her now. She giggles and they have dirty sex.
So the way he says that line, I'll do anything for you now, almost like she's asking him, if you want to have sex with me, you have to propose to me. I'll do anything for you now. I'm like, dude, she is half naked wanting to play Twister with you.
Yeah.
You don't say, I'll do anything for you now. You say, can you help me get my jeans unclasped? That's what can you help me unbutton these?
Right.
They're a little tight. I had a problem with them at Victoria's house. Forget I said that.
No
well,
kidding.
I'll do anything for you now. Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
oh, God. I hate that dude. I hate that dude.
Section 8 has a note taped to their door that they are to appear before the board of directors for a disciplinary hearing at 8 a.m., which is now. They bust ass to the hearing.
As of this morning, according to the determination of the board of directors, Dave Marshak is hereby placed on disciplinary suspension, and all of the students enrolled in Section 8 are expelled.
Expelled? This is ski school.
Well, shall we say disqualified then?
You guys are way too serious.
You can't disqualify us.
Does this mean we can't ski in the final competition?
Hold it a minute. These kids paid good money to come here and buy me expensive imported beers just so they could go home knowing that they have done something good for their fellow man. I am not going to send these kids back to the great towns they came from with the feeling that their rights to be together, have a good time, and yeah, do a little skiing have been usurped. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, Mr. Anton Bryce.
And Dave's a great instructor, bud.
Then why don't you tell me exactly what it is you've all learned here then?
Well, Dave's taught me like a lot of really neat moves.
What about you?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what I've learned. But how many of you have seen Paulette buck naked?
I have. It's great.
I know you have.
Wow.
Enough is
enough. We don't have to take this.
I think it's Derek who's been taking it.
Shut up. Marshak,
You do have to take it. You're not skiing in the final competition. And that's final.
Okay, when you say final, do you mean you are finally finished speaking?
Okay, finals. No one told me about a test.
Test? Does that mean we have to cram? Derek?
You have made a mockery out of me and my mountain. And I'm not going to have the future of this facility go down in flames because of you and your juvenile hall antics. There's a lot of important people here today. It kind of breaks my heart to know that you won't be around to meet them. Class dismissed.
A limousine pulls up outside. The rear window lowers a quarter of the way down. A man with aviator glasses locks eyes with Victoria. She returns the gaze. The window rolls up and the car drives away. Back in Section 8, the guys are licking their wounds. Ed says maybe partying isn't the answer. Dave says, nah. Fitz says skiing is partying. Partying is skiing. John says, yeah, they can't stop us from partying, so they can't stop us from skiing. Ed has no idea what's going on. They tell Ed that they're going to crash the competition and bring the party to the mountain.
I'm with Mr. Ed on this one.
Right. The ski pageant begins. Reed and Bryce are really proud of themselves. Suddenly a bulldozer covered in balloons, inflatable beer bottles, Section 8, and a lot of girls crash through a snow fence. The audience cheers. They pull cases of beer on sleds down the mountain for the crowd. The fans chant, let them ski. Bryce comes to a compromise. He says if they calm down their antics, they can ski. Dave agrees. Reed says that they're going to embarrass them, and Dave bah-ha-has him. The turnabout right here is very quick and odd. The audience is barely chanting, let them ski.
Yeah.
He's like, well, there are other things to consider here. So, okay, calm down and you can ski.
What are the other things to consider?
Right.
The rules mean nothing in the ski pageant.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Nothing.
Because you can crash it with a bulldozer and sleds full of beer, and you have like 4 drunk dudes who are basically face down in the snow chanting, let them ski. And the dude who's one of the main villains is just going to be like, you know what, there are other things to consider. Like, we're shooting a sex comedy here, so we just got to let this continue. We got to let this play out. Like, what the hell? Nothing makes any sense in this world, man. And why can't Lori get it together with the chant? She's like, yeah,
let him ski,
let him ski. And meanwhile, people are chanting in unison, let them ski. And she's like, yeah, woohoo. The fuck is going on, man?
She's obviously never chanted before.
I guess not.
Yeah.
I guess not. She's like that one dude we used to go to concerts with. When everybody'd start clapping, he would always be off on the beat. Always. Yeah. He could never stay on the beat. I'm not going to mention his name because he knows who he is and he should be embarrassed.
The competition begins and Section 8 climbs the standings quickly. John is killing the game. The downhill event is next, and that's Section 1's strongest event. Reed gets in Dave's face and says that they don't have a chance in this event. Dave and Fitz don helmets and headbutt each other. Dave took this threat very seriously.
I love how they headbutt each other. They go, ow, ow, ow.
Ed sprays contact cement in the middle of Section 8's track.
The hell?
And when the skiers hit the cement, the skis stick to the cement and their bodies go flying. And then the Roadrunner says, meep, meep.
And Mick Foley says, bang, bang. I mean, this is like a hardcore ski event.
Section 8 continues to sabotage Section 1. Turnabout is fair play, it would seem, since no one is getting disqualified for blatant cheating. Reed takes his solo turn, and Dave, that rascal, has 3 ladies flash their breasts at Reed to distract him because it's the 90s and women still aren't good at anything else.
You hear that, John Sayles, you son of a bitch?
John is up next, and he has a chance to win for Section 8. He beats a course record, but Sections 1 and 8 tie in points. Reed calls out Dave for their shenanigans. Dave says they kicked their asses, but Reed says they didn't win. To settle it once and for all, Dave challenges Reed to a one-on-one match. The loser walks off the mountain and never returns, and they will ski the Dome, which is the top of the mountain and the hardest course. Reed agrees and says it will be easy, but Dave informs him that he'll be skiing against John. Reed flashes a look of concern, but still takes the bait.
Okay, Johnny, the only thing you have to remember about skiing the Dome is when you get to the bald rock there, do not take the slope to the right. It ends in a cliff. It's a totally impossible jump. No one has ever made it, so just, you forget about it. Take the slope to the left at Bald Rock. Left at Bald Rock, you got it?
Left at Bald Rock, got it.
Left.
Exactly.
Right.
A helicopter takes the competitors to the top of the mountain. They jump from the copter, and it's on like neckbone. They jockey for position, one passing the other, and then repeat. When they get to Bald Rock, John takes a right instead of a left. The announcer says he must be out of his mind. Of course he is. Suggestions to the subconscious mind while you doze. Dave gets excited as John jumps the rock. This allows him to take a huge lead on Reed, and he wins the race. Reed tucks his tail and leaves. Bryce informs Dave that the mountain is under new ownership. Dave smiles and said he knows. The announcer tells the audience the mountain has been sold and the new owner promises radical restructuring. The new owner is Victoria, and the new name of the mountain is Party Mountain.
Yes. Oh, boy.
Party Mountain. Good God. Reed and Derek are at the party, but are sullen. Dave gives them both the beer and says, know it, live it, love it, then kisses Reed whole on the mouth. Victoria asks Dave if he's ready for the hot tub. He proclaims that he loves his life. Fitz and Paulette howl at the moon. John and Lori kiss. Victoria hands Dave a glass of champagne in the hot tub and says, welcome to my kingdom. Dave breaks the fourth wall with a toast, and the credits roll.
That was a collection of events that happened to some characters.
This movie's still funny as hell, though.
It is. It's funny.
Yeah.
I forgot how much it's just like a collection of skits.
Yeah.
It doesn't really want to be anything else. I mean, it's like all these ski movies from the 80s, or, a lot of these ski movies, they're all kind of structured around the competition, and then you just kind of post on the competition and have your skits fan out from there. Because if you think about it, the 80s had quite a few ski movies. You had Copper Mountain, which was like an early Jim Carrey thing with Alan Thicke. You had Better Off Dead, which is a classic.
Yeah, Hot Dog the movie.
Hot Dog the movie. This is like those movies, but maybe not as good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I dig it. Yeah, some of the stuff makes me cringe now, like Fitzy.
And I love that character back in the day when this movie had just come out. I thought, he and Dave were kind of like Chainsaw and Dave were in summer school. They had that really great chemistry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Finished each other's sentence type of chemistry. In hindsight, though, his character is bound for prison.
Yeah. Yeah. He's going to have a collection of restraining orders in his future.
Yeah.
Let's just cut to the chase. What do you think about a remake of Rembrandt?
No.
Okay.
Rembrandt.
Yeah. I mean, because if you think about the ski comedy has been made a few times even since this, like Out Cold.
Right. I think we've said all we really need to say about it. In 2020, it's a very disturbing movie. Very disturbing, very sexist, a little bit of racism, definitely classism.
Well, the thing is that, like, all of that stuff except classism is committed by the good guys. That's the thing that's weird. I think
right.
If you put that stuff onto Master Reed's team, you're talking about something totally different. You're talking about a movie where you can be proud of these good guys. In this movie, you're kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm proud of these good guys, or I have a troubled relationship with these good guys. So seriously, one more pass on this. What do you think of a cafeteria enthusiast? Like, what do you think that is?
They like to frequent the cafeterias.
Yeah.
They like to frequent the smorgasbords. Kind of like the family-style restaurants, but they really enjoy going up and getting the food themselves, is what it is. Pick it out a la carte. You get your mac and cheese, you get your salad, you get your cottage cheese, anything with cheese, really.
They're really up to date on branding and technology when it comes to sneeze guards, those kind of people.
Yeah, it's hard times for the cafeteria enthusiasts right now.
Right, well, yeah.
Because of the COVID thing. But yeah, I mean, when times are good, when there's nothing to worry about, invisible in the air, man, cafeteria enthusiasts, their whole weekends are planned around this sort of thing.
Well, you remember Duff's?
Yeah.
Duff's was a smorgasbord where you had two different smorgasbords. You had one that was a stationary half circle. The other one was also a half circle, but it was a merry-go-round and it moved. It did not have any cops handcuffed to it. It was just it was a moving smorgasbord, and you would just have to, like, grab your food. Man, if you were not fast dipping that food out, you just have to stand there like an asshole and wait for it to come back around again. You're like,
Yeah.
I really missed out the cherry cordials on this first go-around. I got to sit here and wait past the cornbread and the chicken and dressing and all this bullshit just to get a little more cherry cordial.
Yeah.
If they had more of those places, I myself would be a cafeteria enthusiast.
I remember Heritage House with their gigantic smorgasbord.
Yeah, absolutely.
That place, the smorgasbord was so big it was frustrating because you'd be down at one end, you're like, oh, cool, fried chicken. You get down to the other end, you're like, they had ham? God damn it, I want ham.
The whole time. But that place was closed down so many times for health code violations.
Yeah.
I mean,
there should have just been a big flag outside, just a big red flag.
Yeah. Or just like a big sign where they change their health code rating depending on the day of the week, you know?
Yeah.
It's Thursday, so shit's not fresh, but
that's true.
You should cut all of this out.
This is better than the other conversation we were having.
All right, let's just cut it.
Right.
You'll figure something out.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us at the All Night Drive-In Picture Show. We hope you enjoyed our double feature this evening. You can follow us on social media at the All Night Drive-In Picture Show page on Facebook or at All Night Drive-In on Twitter and Instagram. If you have questions, comments, or movie requests, you can send them to our email address at allnightdriveinpictureshow@gmail.com. Join us next week for another fantastic double feature, and until then, we appreciate your patronage. Don't forget to hang up your speaker, and please drive carefully on your way out.
The All Night Drive-In Picture Show is edited and produced by Markham Harvey. Our theme song is composed and performed by Lee Rosevere and edited by The Night Watch. Our head ticket taker is Stubbs Jorgensen. Our sign master is Jason Baldwin. Our snack bar manager is Lucy Slewfoot. Our drive-in manager is the one and only George Jaike. I'm your announcer, Lane Hewitt. I'm as Vero as a billy goat. This has been a Clown Business Coalition production. Good night, everyone.